Get 25% off all courses at the academic agency until the 6th of May using promo code SPRING25. That's promo code SPRING25. Turn a new leaf in your education today.
And you can't even drive? I can. Are you stupid, eh? Are you a stupid fool? Well, why can't you drive then? You can't even drive! Bit grey today, isn't it?
I'm here, and welcome to another Deepest Law. Pharaoh, how are you doing?
Yes, great. Thank you very much.
Now, we are going to be having a look. It's May the 6th today, 6th of May. And as I mentioned, this is the last day that you can get your Spring 25 sale on the academic agency, 25% off. I know many people have taken advantage of this unique offer already, but you've got, you don't have that much time left for it. I think midnight UK time, it will run out. But it is also today, Pharaoh, an election day here in the UK, and it is also the day of the mayoral election. I think there's a number of like special seats in the general election going on, isn't there?
Yeah,
and
by-elections, etc.
Yeah, by-elections and so on and so forth. And there's also the London mayoral elections, which is London's chance to vote out Sadiq Khan, you know, a long-time nemesis of this channel. However, by all the polling I've seen, it looks like Sadiq Khan is a 99.99% lock to win his seat, as I predicted in a video 2 years ago, which frankly leads me to believe that London deserves to burn into the floor. As we were talking about, I'm thinking of moving away, Pharaoh, because you know, it just, I mean, frankly, does it deserve to exist? You know, if a mayor of the abject low quality of Khan can basically just, I mean, you know, just get in by fiat. I mean, this is like almost Detroit levels of stupidity at this point. But
I mean, he has to be recognised as probably one of the worst politicians in power right now, and he has a significant position. You know, his track record is exceptionally bad. But there is literally no change in his polling whatsoever. He's sort of he's almost unassailable in many ways, I'd say. So
yeah, and I mean, I hate to say it, but as I pointed out in my analysis 2 years ago, it is purely demographic. If you have a look at who voted for Boris Johnson when he was the mayor, it's like a donut. Okay, if you imagine a donut around the perimeter of the M25, okay. So all of the outskirts of Greater London form a donut around the country. That's all of the commuters, okay? I mean, I hate to say it. Another way of saying it, it's all the white people who live in areas like around here. They voted for Boris, and they also voted for, who was the other guy? Forget his name now.
Sean.
Not Sean Bailey. The guy before, the guy who lost to Khan the first time. He was a Jewish guy. I forget his name now.
Can't remember.
Hold on. 2015 mayoral candidate. Zach Goldsmith.
Oh yes, of course. Yes, I remember now.
Yeah,
I forgot about him. Was it Carrie's best bud?
Yeah. Now, if you go back to that video, I did it using a kind of heat map. Diversity heat map of London, but you can actually see that where Zach Goldsmith lost to Khan was exactly it exactly maps onto the demographic change in the area. So if an area becomes, let's just say, I don't know, 25% more diverse between, let's say, 2012 and 2015. Okay, let's say that the change has been 15%. That's the swing to Khan from Boris. I mean, part of it is the Boris factor, but part of it is also just raw demographic reality. And it was so stunningly predictable that I said, there's no way Labour can lose this now, ever again, unless something drastic happens, because it seems like track record, issues, ideas don't matter to a lot of these voters. They just, no matter what, will vote for Sadiq Khan.
Yeah, so, I think it's interesting because all of those diverse array of people, they know who their friends are and they know who their enemies are, and they vote very distinctly on those lines. While I think, conversely, for the other demographic, they try and go through all the policies and take a more nuanced approach to voting. So it's kind of like just sheer tribalism versus advanced nuance, isn't it? So
it's kind of the only group that has this split between left and right. Really, are like there's such a thing as a white conservative and a white liberal, whereas no other group seems to have this split. They just purely vote on tribal lines, like you said, which is kind of depressing, really. But
and there is something interesting being going on over the last couple of months. Ever since the rollout of the reduction of stamp duty, there has been a huge movement out of London of middle class metropolitan workers. So I think there has been effectively a white flight going on even in the suburbs. I know for certain. So I'm based in northeast London. I'd say around about 70% of my friends have either already moved or have been looking to move during the stamp duty moment. So I think it's like I saw the Daily Mail running an article saying the gap's closing in the polls, etc. I don't believe that whatsoever. I think it's going to be
the media hype nonsense.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's going to be the strongest poll results for Khan ever.
That's so depressing. I mean, he basically bankrupted TfL, crime rate through the roof. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys how awful he's been, and yet he's going to walk it against a massive field of serious and semi-serious candidates. Let's face it. Now, before we get into the advert analysis, there's a few other things to mention here. I'm trying to remain calm, Pharaoh, because it's our chilled out Thursday afternoon stream. But now I'm thinking more about it. It's making me angry. Some people are saying that the only way that Labour would be flanked in London was if a Communist Party ran. I don't actually agree with that. I think the way to defeat Khan would be to flank him from where George Galloway did with the Respect Party, like a kind of Palestine, a kind of explicitly Islamic Palestinian thing.
Conservative party. I think it's interesting that hasn't really arisen yet. Because again, and I think there could be this interesting split depending on how well Starmer does in the by-elections, where there is space for trying to hit that demographic, which again votes in a very specific way, but then also reflects their kind of conservative social views at the same time. So that function in the market hasn't been fulfilled yet. So we'll see.
I don't know what happened to Respect after George Galloway kind of gave up, but it didn't seem, it was like a one man, yet another kind of Nigel Farage, like, there's no party without the main man type thing.
Yeah.
And, Respect was a bit like that. But I think like in some of those areas, Bethnal Green especially, and around there, especially in East London, I reckon, if a serious candidate emerged to flank Khan, from that angle, he could lose, but I don't see anyone else doing it.
I think Labour is very embedded in those communities where they've got very strong networks in place already, and again, because I guess the kind of culture of those groups is so unbelievably top down, where again, if your imam says to vote in a certain way, or do you see what I'm saying, that there's much more reliance on leadership, and they'll basically follow whatever they're told to do.
I do have a video somewhere in the back catalogue. It could be behind the paywall now, but it's called Diane Abbott, Immigration and Social Housing, and it's just a kind of microcosmic look of some of the, I call them rotten boroughs, where
Yeah, that's
essentially,
an excellent video. Yeah.
yeah, Labour control like 60 out of, say there's 60 council seats, all 60 of them are Labour, and basically they just run that area almost like a kind of tribal fiefdom, where everything that you social housing, or let's say I don't know, imagine you run a kebab shop or a corner store or something, okay? And I'm not being stereotypical, like genuinely these people are going to exist, right? In order to maintain your license or to make sure you get preferential rates or whatever, you have to wet the beak of Chief Abbott in that seat, or whoever the councillor happens to be. So there's kind of a rife corruption in these places as well. And then they do all sorts of punitive things to existing landlords. Like, for example, I've got a neighbour here I've mentioned before who owns property in Hounslow, and they've had tenants there since the 70s, okay, and they're not able to evict them. They're not able to because the local rules are so and so. They're basically stuck with people they can't get rid of. Even if they trash the place, or even if they don't maintain it, and then they'll be like, by the way, there's a KFC down below and you can't do anything about it. And there's all sorts of, so there's you can see how by controlling things at that local level, slowly but surely anyone who has any connection with the area is pushed out, basically. So
yeah, just one last thing on the tribalism. I think what's interesting with your discussion around the tens is around that is a form of tribalism as well. It's sort of out-tribing the existing tribes, basically. So I thought that was interesting and definitely needed.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. The strategy is adapted from a particular tribe. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the. Oh yes, and the one last thing I will mention before we get into the various different adverts here is that I just posted on Twitter a little exchange that I had with Mrs. AA earlier, where I basically declared that I wasn't voting. And Mrs. AA was furious, and she said, given that you've been saying Sadiq Khan resign for over a year, it is both, and this is a direct quote from her, criminally pathetic and morally bankrupt that you're not. It's a vote for Sadiq Khan. And I asked people to offer thoughts, and they seem to be divided between people who think I shouldn't vote and people who think I should. So I'm actually going to use this stream to decide if I'm going to vote or not, and who for. Okay.
Just from my perspective, I'm planning on spoiling the ballot. I think it's important to go there to, I think there's something lazy about just not voting at all. But from my perspective, we've been engaging in the politics of compromise for the last, 12 years, and these kind of compromises got us Boris in. And I feel like just the Tories thrive off, at least we're not X. At least Boris isn't Corbyn. At least Sean Bailey isn't Khan. And I can see why people are concerned about, not using your, democratic right. But you'll forever be in their thought prison. You're always going to be their slave, so long as you follow those rules. So, from my perspective, even though I'd love to see Khan removed, the Tories need to pay at the same time.
All right, so shall we start with the Khanster himself? Oh no, I tell you what, before we start, I'm going to share a slide, as you suggested, from Foundations of Rhetoric. This is from the lecture on persuasion, and of course, as many of you who will have bought the course, you'll get to this in due time. These are the 6 nodes of persuasion that have been proven time and again in the literature to be what kind of activates action. To be what, if you're a salesperson, you're trying to get somebody to act, you have to lean on 1, 2, or even more of these, ideally all 6 of them at once. And in fact, there's a bit of that lecture that Ferro helped me with, where we look at some Tony Blair, how Tony Blair used these in his campaigning. So we're going to be looking at how each of these try to build these nodes of persuasion into their rhetoric in these various videos. Before we get into this, do you have any bets on who's going to be the most effective persuader going in?
I think probably Sean, because again, the Tories are very slick with their marketing. They've got a full team behind them. I wonder if Sadiq will just not. He'll be relatively low energy, low effort, but at the same time, he is experienced. He's probably got quite a strong team behind him, and then I think we're going to see this long tail of absolutely low tier cringe lords coming in and on individual policies. So I think Sean's going to be the best, followed by Sadiq, and then everything else. There's going to be a real step in quality down for the smaller guys.
And it may actually be a demonstration of why the kind of democratic game is a hopeless one, because that will be a resource issue as well, right? Bailey and Khan are going to have huge kind of PR teams behind them, whereas some of these like one-man bands, or they'll have a tiny, like Lawrence Fox isn't going to have a slick outfit like Bailey behind him, is he?
No, exactly.
All right, so why don't we start with the incumbent, which is Khan himself. I'll just share Khan. See if I can find this. Media tweets by Sadiq Khan. So we'll just have a look at their activity on polling day. Plenty of these videos of himself. As a marketing man, Farah, what do you see here? Is this kind of standard political fare for 2021 to be posting all of these clips of yourself?
Yeah, the clips are very popular. It's all about creating like a heartbeat of content. It's about creating conversation. It's about touching those specific points that are concerning people. So they'll have done all of the kind of audience research, and basically all they care about are the kind of swing voters. They'll kind of throw a few lines out to their kind of core voters, but they know they're secure. Who they'll be trying to speak to is probably middle class, liberal, white people who probably have felt the quality of, and probably women as well. The crime has definitely gotten worse in the last 4 or 5 years. So I wonder whether they're going to be trying to hit those kind of concerned voters. They probably voted Labour last time. They're thinking about flipping across because of crime. Are they literally found the tough on crime?
Tough on crime.
This is obviously a lie. So again, you always have to think about the audience. Who is he speaking to? It's those swing voters, and you can sort of actually reverse engineer who he's speaking to through some of the policy decisions that he's chatting about.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm always struck by, 1.1 million followers Sadiq Khan's got, right? And yeah, right. If I do a tweet that does well for likes, not that I ever notice these sorts of things, but I'll get, 150 likes on a really good tweet, say, in 5 or 6 hours. This is election day now. That one had 1.8 thousand, but like some of these have only got like 148. It's pretty poor engagement, isn't it?
Yeah, it's partly a factor of in terms of the kind of higher tier influencers, the engagement levels are just very, very low. People just follow. There's a lot of kind of dead accounts on there, but also there's a large kind of illicit like follower buying services out there. So, for example, we could quadruple the number of followers you have to make you look good, and often brands and businesses will engage in that practice to look like they're bigger than they are. But you can tell from the engagement that, like, the people who are following him are not kind of quality people. They're probably not even real.
Right. So, I don't know what. Shall we watch this one? This seems to be the one he's pushing a lot. I've seen this one a number of times. So,
yeah,
let's watch this one. Seems to be the one that gets the most likes and so on. So, this is obviously Khan's ace. So let's hear it.
So what I've done over the last 5 years, Chris, and I'm going to build on this, is invest, yes, in police, more than 1,000 extra police officers since I became mayor, but also in giving young people
Now, one thing I want to just mention before we even get it, has it ever struck you that Sadiq Khan can barely talk? He's very marble-mouthed, isn't he?
He's not a natural orator. It's also, I think I wanted to highlight dress. After after the kind of gentleman stream, again, notice the classic shirt, no tie, suit combo. We're going to see that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Again, his body language is, I find, very weak and flaccid. He's obviously had media training because he's trying to gesticulate with his hands. He's trying to engage and look honest. But there's something fundamentally dishonest about the way that he.
Yeah. And it's worth remembering, especially for American viewers and people who don't follow politics that closely. Khan is not like a far leftist. He's not like a kind of Corbynista style.
Yeah.
He's always been he's almost like a pure class Blairite, I would say. He's very much a neoliberal elite, right?
Yeah, and also he would go to like a hardcore Islamic conference one day and then go to an LGBTQ+I conference the next. He's very Machiavellian in terms of his connections, and I wouldn't say has morals or definite values.
Okay, but this is also a kind of Blairite uniform, I would say.
But again, just watch who has that and who doesn't have that. Also, it's a very cursed font at the top, tough on crime. I hate that. Yeah, I don't like that.
Productive things to do. So we've already invested £70 million in a Young Londoners Fund, more than 300 youth clubs given the funding, more than 110,000.
Yeah, I love it. Knife crime's up. Let's open more fucking youth clubs.
Again, I don't know where this meme comes from. I hear it parroted all the time, but I've yet to see any strong evidence showing that youth clubs stop crime. It seems to me that essentially it's middle class drug usage in London, which is creating a market for drugs, which is creating a market for gangs to deal the drugs, which is then creating rival gangs, which is creating the stabbings. This is the thing. It's the same middle class leftist Labour voter that is literally getting high on a weekend that has blood on their hands from the stabbings. But what they do is they don't want to take any personal accountability and want to say, look, if we just entertain the kids, that's going to take them off the street. The fact is, there's a huge incentive for them to go out. That they can make so much money dealing drugs on the weekend. Why would they want? Why do you think a PlayStation 5 or whatever in a youth club is going to take them away from that? It just doesn't make any sense in my mind.
One of the most moronic things about Khan, which some people may not know, is that in 2018, 2019, he went on a kind of fact-finding learning mission about how to tackle crime in Chicago. Which, I mean,
was it a murder every hour or something like that?
I mean, come on. Yeah, let's learn from the best. Let's go to Chicago to learn how to reduce crime.
Those are rookie numbers, rookie murder numbers. We need to up them more.
1,000 young people giving constructive things to do. That's a start. Every young person to have a mentor and a good quality youth club near them. We need more coaches, more mentors. Well, we're a city of small businesses. More than half of Londoners work for a small business. What I've done is
No, that was actually Donald Trump's motto.
Interesting.
Donald Trump used to shout, jobs, jobs, jobs. And for all the stick he gave Trump, he is now basically just stealing his lines.
Yeah. Again, sorry, just pause a second. Because again, this is interesting in terms of audience again. And I think it is very much the shopkeeper, the small business owner he's trying to appeal to here. And again, I can see them being a swing voter where they'll go between Conservative and Labour. Again, they've seen, thefts increase, gangs on the corner of their streets increase, and also, COVID hitting them pretty badly due to draconian lockdown rules. So again, it's interesting. That's obviously another market from him is probably like the minority business owner.
Don't forget, this fuckwit also increased the congestion zone. Do you know how many businesses were hit by that when he did that?
Again, yeah, that's another reason why we're looking to move out of London. Is again, it's just there's just no reason behind it at all and no logic. It's just whatever. Just another way of just squeezing cash out of people. It's constantly just more and more squeeze.
I have to say, so far this is an awful ad. It's bland. He's boring. It's what's the thinking behind this? What are they appealing to on the 6 nodes? Do you think?
I think he's trying to be personable. Again, he's trying to bring up what's interesting is he's bringing up that kind of conversation with those individual people. I think it must be like a random Londoners questioning him. So I think he's trying to be personable, again, getting that social proof that he's able to kind of be chums with, real Londoners, and to seem like he's not knowledgeable. But like you said, I think it's very, very weak. And anyone who knows anything about London within about 2 seconds knows that he's an absolute liar on all of these points. So
now, if I was going to be more cynical, the youth club point is interesting because this has been something that the left have done everywhere, right? Their solution to problems is always to open up like a centre, right? A centre for whatever it is.
Yes.
But of course, what is that? That's
a node of corruption.
It's an institution and another node for them to get their teeth in.
You're right.
See?
Yeah.
So it's very sinister what they do. Anyway, let's carry on.
Because then it requires funding as well. It's interesting, which then, again, they can say a Conservative comes in the previous year, then they can say, oh, you're taking funding away from essential services or whatever. So it's a one-way system of funding their people, basically.
Absolutely. I'll never forget looking at some images from, I think it was Sweden, where this place was going to hell in a handbasket, and they'd set up this, the leftists in the area had set up this centre, covered with graffiti, crawling with degenerates and so on and so forth. And yet that centre that they built was the central node of subversion in that place. It starts with a centre and it actually brings down an area, if you can believe that, because it acts as a hub for all those people to congregate in as well. So anyway, let's carry on.
And the Recovery Board, with others across London councils, business people, small and big, public services, and others. And we've got 9 missions, and one of those is supporting people like you who run a small business as we recover from this awful pandemic. So let me tell you what I've done over the last...
Now, I'm noticing a lot of black people in this video, and is that because Labour are worried about losing the black vote to Sean Bailey?
Yeah. Again, especially, again, on the tribal front, again, it does have a big factor. But also, I think, a lot of obviously, I went to a Nigerian church for a while, or a church where there's majority Nigerian people, and there is like a religious lower middle class of black people in London who are very socially conservative, but they would vote for Labour to help with housing and stuff like that. And a lot of them are small business owners; they'll own phone shops and stuff like that. So that is exactly, again, the kind of swing voter. I feel like he's probably got whatever the Islamic community in the bag. So it's he needs to secure the other minorities.
Am I right in thinking that the London mayoral election works like the French presidential election, where there's this huge field, but then there's a runoff, so it comes down to a straight up vote between Bailey and Khan at the end of the day? Is that right?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't think that's true,
I think it does. So
okay.
I think if they're worried about anything, it's like, where do those Lib Dem voters and Green voters and so on end up after, when it gets to the runoff? I could be wrong in that. Maybe someone in the chat can correct me, but I think it goes, it's a first preference, a second preference, right? So there is a runoff. So it's like, how many second ballots can you get on? Because I don't know, you'd imagine the average voters for the likes of a Lawrence Fox or whatever would put Bailey as 2, right? So does that make sense? Because there's a lot of anti-Khan candidates who are running specifically against Khan, so anyway, let's carry on.
5 years as mayor, I ditched the dodgy definition of what Sean's friend Boris Johnson thinks an affordable home is. A home costing £500,000 to buy, or a home that has 80% of market value to rent. I threw it in the bin. For me, an affordable home is one of 3 things: a council home, an afford that you can rent; a home that's a London living rent, a third of average earnings; or a home that's shared ownership, part rent, part buy, with a deposit of £5,000. And here's what I've done. Last year, we broke the record for the most numbers of council homes begun since 1983. The year before, we broke the record, the most starts since 1984.
You can barely talk. I just...
Also, did you see he messed up the line there, and they corrected him in the subtitles? He said the word the wrong way around. Again, this is interesting with the affordable homes. Again, that is a big hot issue. Again, getting a free council house or whatever. I mean, one thing I would say is this is definitely true, and he is dramatically changing the face of the London landscape alongside the kind of construction companies. If you look at, like, basically every single tube line now has a huge number of high-rise flats next to them, and it's growing on a very regular basis.
Who gets shipped in and who gets to live in those council homes? You know.
Well, exactly. Again, it's more of his serfs to vote for Sadiq, basically, isn't it?
Wet the beak more. Yeah. Let's carry on.
In the last year of Boris Johnson being mayor, only 3 homes where a social rent were payable started. 3. Last year, more than 7,000. What's really important is we don't replace one health crisis, the COVID health crisis, with another one, toxic air, caused by pollution from vehicles. And so I'm in favour of, and I support the government's plans for active travel, and I support those councils that work with us.
Now, is that another target voter, this
yes,
white middle-class woman here?
There is specifically, it's the over 50 boomer, probably living in Islington, currently retired. They're going to vote for the Green Party, and then they'll vote for Sadiq afterwards. I mean, part of this, I think this issue is a double win for him, because number one, he can tax people for having cars in London. Yeah. This whole toxic air thing is interesting as a policy meme. It's come out in the last couple of years. They've been hyping it up in The Guardian. I swear there's like a pipeline for these policy ideas where it sort of begins where, you know, they test the water in The Guardian, they throw a few articles, see if it resonates with people, and if it does, they kind of big it up further. But if you look at the actual numbers, it's relatively small in terms of the impact, and especially compared to things like knife crime, etc. But this is a clear lining himself up as the, you know, maybe we're not as green as the Greens, but with a second best.
I couldn't have more contempt for this man, I tell you. It's just very difficult for me to try to watch this objectively, but it's also been shit as well, this ad. It's bad, isn't it? Let's face it. It's not exactly a great advert for the guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's just really relying on the policies here to pull him through.
Which is ironic, because he doesn't need any, as we discussed. Anyway, let's carry on.
Active travel. That's why, for example, we've had school streets in our city. We've had 20 miles per hour in our city, but also we've increased 5-fold the amount of cycling taking place in our city. I got asthma as an adult training for the marathon in 2014. I feel it every day. That's why it's important for us all to work hard, so we avoid children having stunted lungs forever, adults with whole health issues from asthma to cancer to disease. This is a crisis.
That's the guy asking the question. Can we go back to him? We need to look at this Gen X soy boy nodding along.
Yeah, but this is the social proof that we're talking about. This is included, these shots.
Yeah,
he looks included in this his nodding, right?
Yeah, this is probably a gay guy. That's the vibes I'm getting or whatever. So again, the gay audience is pretty big, and again, that's another target market. And also, so again, I think they're very selectively choosing who comes up, who's nodding along, and again, you know, you remember your KFC KFC advert. You know, this is literally the same idea as that, like furiously nodding, wanting their foundation of economics.
Yeah, social proof.
Forever. Adults with whole health issues from asthma to cancer to disease. This is a crisis that needs solving. It's really important. We're the generation that solves it rather than the last generation that doesn't get it.
Shit, just bad. I'm actually shocked how bad that was.
Also, the tagline as well. Look here, you know, vote for London, vote for Sadiq. This doesn't really mean anything or appeal to anyone at all. There's nothing around. Interesting that there's no Labour sign there. I wonder if he's trying to disassociate himself a little bit from Starmer with that. Do you know what I'm saying? Normally you would sort of lean quite heavily on the party side of things, but I think he's trying to position himself out of that frame. So.
Oh, look, hold on a second. This was the one I was looking for before. Let's just quickly watch his one of, like, this is our city as well. Because let's face it, Khan is the man to beat in this election, isn't he?
Yeah.
So let me get this one up. Also, I just spotted something else on his timeline. What is this? Who's this? What's the Lad Bible? And who is Nico Amila?
So Lad Bible is like quite a famous media company aimed at students and kind of like working class and lower middle class people. That guy is like a TikToker who spoofed. He got famous recently for like doing almost like Sacha Baron Cohen style pranks on people recently. So he's kind of like trending right now. But I think,
is this good? It's Khan trying to be cool. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Now, enough of the policy. Let's get on to the real questions. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No, man. Jalapenos and chilies. That's how hard I am.
So can we stop? Can we stop there a second? That is so staged already. The way he said that, like the no man is one of the most unnatural deliveries. Just go back a second. If that is definitely been rehearsed. I'm sorry. Come on.
Now, enough of the policy. Let's get on to the real questions. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No, man. Jalapenos and chilies. That's how hard I am.
Just look at the facial expressions. It's all been planned, and they've had a PR guy do the research to check and see, you know, like how can we make this robot be more like amenable to working class people by talking about like kooky stuff like pineapple on pizzas. Just imagine Gladstone and Disraeli seeing Sadiq Khan as like a politician, and him talking about what he's going to put on his pizza.
Is that Bin Laden he's got in the background there?
It could be like, I don't know that.
And Obama, the man who killed Bin Laden.
I think he's like a bit of like a troll slash prankster.
I see.
Death penalty for pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, but what about like Hawaiian people? Like
no, Joe from Lad Bible. Death penalty for pineapple on pizza.
Okay, that's a very serious stance. How are we, lads? I'm Joe Gilmore.
Oh God. All right, this is the.
It's our city.
This is the main advert. Okay, this is our city.
It's not my city.
Oh. Come on. Here we are.
This is our city. And right now, London's going through tough times. But the spirit that is seeing us through this is the same one that can help us create a better future for all Londoners. I was born here, on this council estate. My dad was a bus driver on the 44 route from Victoria to Tooting Broadway. My mum worked as a seamstress. They raised me, one of 8 kids. It was here I learned about respect and decency, fairness and equality. I owe everything to London.
Can we pause here? Because again, it's interesting how the allegiance is to the city as opposed to a greater national identity. And again, I think that's where especially minority groups feel more, they would feel more allied to London. Like if London went to war with the rest of England, I'm pretty sure they would all fight for London as a concept as opposed to any broader British identity.
Do you think there's a good rhetorical strategy for Khan to show London as it was back in the day? Because I feel like most people have been like, hold on, London's way worse now than it was. Anyway, let's carry on.
London at its best is acts of kindness and community, quiet resilience, and when we need it, incredible bravery. London celebrates our diversity, and in the face of extremism and hate, we never bow down. We stand up. London encourages enterprise and innovation.
Can we pause a second? So again, you can feel the distinct segments that they've gone through. The first one is, I'm a minority too, basically, is the first section. Then it goes through to, we're a diverse, multicultural society. Then it's hit the business tick. Again, you can read this like a shopping list of everyone they're trying to speak to again, the small businesses again.
Yeah, anti-Trump, anti-Brexit as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Which, I mean, sadly, is probably a vote winner in London.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Love, how to live, and how to cry.
Oh, God. You see, it happened on his watch. This is the thing that drives me nuts. It's like, London's going through time. It was on your watch, dude. I just don't get it. Like, how does he just escape blame for all things? This is one of the most bizarre developments in politics. It's like, we're running the place. Everything's going to pop, but I sympathise, even though I'm the leader.
Yeah, that is actually one of his skills, is being able to disassociate himself in a very, very, very quickly. Like, it's even within the Labour Party where someone says something that would trigger his voters, he's very good and very fast at saying, "Oh, it's nothing to do with me. I disagree with this," etc., etc. So he plays that game very well. I think that's one of the strongest features.
This is much more effective, though, isn't it? I mean, I'm hating it, but I can see at least it pulling on some of those
definitely the
nodes.
The emotive music. They're trying to kind of connect to something bigger. Again, the idea of the spirit of London. Again, there's something almost transcendent about that, but in a kind of evil way.
Yeah, I'm wondering why he's not sharing this one and he's sharing that other one. Like, he shared that other one about 4 or 5 times, which is why I played it. But this seems like the stronger ad to me. Anyway, let's carry on.
This is the city where the son of a bus driver can become mayor.
He's mentioned that like 3 times already. That's his like working class roots, though, isn't it? So.
Yeah, exactly.
And where the mayor believes that every child should have the chance to succeed. In 1945, Londoners rebuilt and renewed, working together to build a better and more equal society from the ruins of war. Now it's our turn to work together with that same energy and vision to renew London once more. For every Londoner who needs a new and better place.
I love how they immediately show like graffiti-stricken train lines afterwards. I'm literally like,
this is what they lived through the Blitz for.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a cursed glass-ridden megalopolis or whatever. Literally, go back to the rubble, basically.
All right, so let's carry on.
A job for the heroic NHS staff, key workers and police who save lives and keep this city running. For the greener and cleaner London that all of us deserve to share. For a London that is open and inclusive, and where our children can grow up safe and realise.
I mean, life crime.
But again, with the safety again, that's exactly what I was saying about the middle class liberal mother, basically. But
look at this message in here. Would you feel safe with these guys, with your kids? I mean, I don't know if I would. He's wearing an earring. Look, he's wearing an earring. Anyway,
we can build this better London and a brighter future together. If you care about this great city and our people, if you believe in our strength and our spirit, if you love London, then come out and vote for it on May the 6th.
Vote for London on Thursday, May the 6th.
Oh, this is gonna be so bad because it's how can I say, it's like validation for all of this shit when he wins, isn't it? They'll take it as validation for all of this. Sickening.
Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and social distancing measures are in place. You can also apply for a postal vote anytime before Tuesday, 20th of April. Use all your votes for Labour to help deliver a brighter future for all Londoners. Thank you.
Well, there we are.
Love the little postal vote at the end there.
It's interesting, isn't it, that the voiceover is still an authoritative man at the end. It's not an ethnic accent. It's still, I mean, I just find it interesting that they must think, this is still our best shot, this voiceover here, because it carries that. Because I'm thinking again to the social nodes, what carries authority? Well, maybe it's this voice at the end here that we need. You know, it's not a woman's voice. It's clearly an older white man's voice that they've used.
Because again, if you just go through the list here, you've got reciprocity, ticked off, consistency. You know, he's still the same scumbag as he's always been. Social proof. He's got that kind of connection. Liking. You know, you've got those kind of happy communities ticking off the advert, and then it's, you know, authority is the thing that's missing as a node, and so that's how he's trying to pull it back in using that the voice.
Yes, and notably a posh accent, not a Cockney accent. So he's not going for because he knows they all live in Essex, of course. All right, so let's carry on. So shall we have a look at Sean Bailey's as a result? Mark out of 10 for Sadiq. We watched 2 for Sadiq, and I think we'll take the second one. I'll give him a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, again, I think to his target, to the target audience, I think that's a 7 for sure.
Can you see any swing voters watching that and thinking, "Yeah, I'm going to vote for C-Khan now"?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I think a lot of those business owners, I think the business owners is one that you can swing. I think the audience of liberal women with children, I think that's an audience that's going to be really hard to hit. Basically, I think that they can just look with their eyes. I don't know what's your wife's thoughts on crime right now.
I can see a more vapid. I mean, I think Khan would always have zero chance with Mrs. AA. She was a straight ticket. I mean, even when I met her, she was like pro Farage and things like that. Even when I was wet, and she was a straight Zach Goldsmith voter back in the day, and straight Boris before that. So she's always been pure, never voted for any Labour at any time in her life, I don't think.
But in terms of her view on crime, does she think it's gotten worse or better in London?
Yes, she's noticed it actually spilling out into the suburbs now. In fact, the pandemic's made it worse because it means that when we go to places like the Royal Parks, Richmond Park or Bushy Park, less desirable types who never used to go to those areas and now in those areas, kind of it's the drug gangs and so on.
Yeah, it's the drug dealers on scooters as well. You see a lot more identified. Interestingly, sorry.
I was just going to say, like, she's more and more convinced that various different businesses are like fronts for gangs.
They definitely are. Like Turkish barbershops are well known as like where they can launder cash. It's a huge problem that no one's even talking about. Is the again, look at drug use across London. That there is money attached to that. Where is that money going? It's massively affecting that kind of class of society.
Yeah, there's also a restaurant that opened not too far from here, where we were considering going in there one day, and then we saw like these three chaps who were all in like those clearly Eastern European, clearly wearing those kind of big duffel coats that they wear. I'm not sure what you call them. They're not duffel coats. They're almost like the sorts of coats. They're kind of. But anyway, they looked dodgy, and they looked like they were doing more interest in doing a drug deal than in serving food. And it's like, this is not like, what is this place, and how is it open during the pandemic? It's like, but there's more and more of that sort of stuff. And she grew up around here, and she's noticing more like, when I was a kid, she says things like, when I was little, this was such a nice road. Now it's just like, where the old ironmongers used to be is a Thai restaurant, and the nice old couple who used to own the post office is now being replaced with a Pakistani family and things like this. And it just, I mean, it changes an area. All these all these little things which give a nice feel to a place, because they don't. How can I put it? They're just maintained to different standards or a different set of tastes, if you want to put it that way. Even down to the signage used. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's more about just like cheapness. Well, I think there would be a certain pride in the signs. I actually went up to Essex recently as part of my ventures for looking at places to go to. And again, obviously, that's where all the kind of Cockneys moved out, basically, who would literally live in the central London. And there was a definite sense of pride in the storefront. And I saw a whole lot of like traditional, like London style shop signs that you would see in Victorian London, and I thought it was interesting. It's definitely like you can change. The owner of the business can massively change the ethos of it, and again the kind of look and feel of the streets. So I think all of that's true. And just going back to my original point around again that audience of the liberal mother, I feel like there is no way that they cannot see that crime has gone up and gotten worse. So I think he's definitely going to lose that voter to Bailey, basically, if Bailey goes big on crime. But I haven't even heard that much from him on
I mean,
that. So
I don't know. I feel like the campaign has been weak from Bailey, though. They haven't really hit the doors where, I haven't had anything through really. One leaflet, I think. I mean, that said, this is still kind of, even in the mayoral election, this seems like a bit of a Lib Dem stronghold around here. So, like, people like to virtue signal with their vote for the Lib Dem things in the yard and things. Not uncommon to see around here, and I've noticed they're all back up again recently. So maybe they don't bother. Maybe the Tories write off this area. I don't know. They shouldn't, though. There's loads of natural Tory voters around here. Anyway, let's have a look at Bailey.
Hello, I'm Sean Bailey, and you join me today in North London to visit a family that's been severely affected by burglary.
Another one who can barely bloody talk.
Well, look,
What is this?
His choice is quite clever because, again, it's just straight up. He is definitely a Londoner with a London accent. And again, notice the outfit. It's the Blairites shirt without tie and
Blair uniform,
and jacket. And can you see where he's sitting? He's sitting working class suburbs right now already. He's kind of like in, like not like the super inner cities, but again, like you said, towards maybe just on the inside of the M25 areas where I live as well. And he's going to be going to these terraced, semi-detached houses. Probably they used to be council houses, but through Margaret Thatcher, they got to buy their own house. So this is kind of like aspirational working class, let's just say.
Yeah, let's see what he got to say.
Just talking about crime as well. First thing, interestingly,
crime's gone. Well, that's the strongest ticket. If I was running against Khan, I'd be crime 24/7, basically. I mean, what I don't understand is the areas that are most, hit hardest by the crime. They still just kind of reflexively vote for Khan, even though he's obviously. Seems to make no difference whatsoever. And this is one of those things I've never understood in America either. Those areas which just literally go down the shitter, they still vote straight Dem every single election without fail.
Because like I said, they're playing a different game. You've got one set of voters who are trying to think about the bettering of their society, and there's one set of voters that just vote for the way that they've always done, or their parents have done.
So let's see what he has to say.
Good to see you.
Can I get you a tea or coffee?
I'd love a cup of tea.
So this is my family home that I live with my wife and my young son. We bought the house about a year ago and we had an attempted break-in. Our car window was vandalised. And then about a month ago, it's just before Mother's Day, we had somebody in do a little bit of cleaning for us. The clean wasn't very good. So we have some like baby monitor type cameras. Mm-hmm. My wife just had a look. She noticed that the lady was scouting the house out, FaceTiming somebody, taking photographs.
This seems very realistic to me. This is like, I can absolutely 100% believe this happening.
Yeah, I was burgled like 2 years ago in exactly the same kind of way, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's things I could mention, things that we've seen recently. It's like I say, it does make you want to move, doesn't it? Makes you want to move. Anyway, let's carry on.
So the locks, I decided to report it to the police, and that was when the police officer on the phone said, no, this is quite commonplace. Organised criminal gangs.
Can I just say, I hate to bring this up, but physiognomy on this guy, the phrenology, this, I'm not sure about his face. He looks kind of...
Just go back, let's have a look, let's do the assessment. The thing is, I would take him over that little nodding soy that we saw earlier. Come on.
But
he's just like working class guy. I mean, obviously he's clearly gone for a beard trim before his big TV debut, though.
I just imbecile. You reading that book? Anyway, let's carry on.
Place organised criminal gangs will target a house. At a later date, somebody can return. A couple of weeks later, a couple of lads were trying to get into the house, and so we have to have that frank conversation. What would you do? You've got your wife, your kids. The nearest police station to me is half an hour away. My local police stations were closed by Sadiq Khan. It's only a matter of time till all of us have some type of burglary, some type of assault.
Yeah, I've recently looked into getting more security installed because
we have cameras on. We have cameras everywhere now.
It's just getting like that, and I hate to say this. I mean, around here, it's not. It's honestly Eastern Europeans that it's like
those are
Bulgarians and Romanians and
it's interesting because again, different minorities are basically connected with different crimes from what I can see. Again, I haven't checked the crime stats on this, but it's basically professional gangs from Romania and Bulgaria doing the burglaries because they know about the different types of locks and how to get in. You saw like the woman scouting stuff out there, very 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 well organized and professional. While again, the drug dealing tends to be a different, different, like I think it's Asian and black gangs mainly. So,
yeah.
When it does happen, it's only then that you realise that it is open season.
When I say I'll provide 8,000 extra police officers, it's not a random figure I've pulled out the air. It's what I believe London needs to make the street.
It's got a bit of like a Chris Eubank fight.
It is, yeah. Also, that is definitely a random figure you pull out of the air. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a random. Why is it a round number?
Yeah. Anyway, let's see what he has to. I mean, he's hitting the crime pretty hard here.
Safe, but also our home safe. If criminals are not pursued and prosecuted, they become bolder and bolder. It's very, very important that we send the message that being a criminal in London is risky. I'm going to reopen the 38 police counters that Sadiq Khan has closed.
This is a mayor that we have at the moment who literally got rich suing the police.
The Mayor of London is the Police and Crime Commissioner for London. It makes me wonder, does he have the right values for Londoners to make us safe?
On May the 6th, Londoners have a choice. I've spent my entire career working with police and communities across London. I've worked at the highest levels of government, advising on crime, and commit to an extra 8,000 police officers and reopening the 38 police stations closed by Mr. Khan. I'm Sean Bailey, and I will make London safer for all of us.
Vote for Sean Bailey on Thursday, May the 6th.
Literally just went on crime. I mean, I don't know though, but because I'm a natural conservative, I guess it appealed to me more than Khan's advert.
Sorry.
Carry on.
All the thing, I just love that the Sean Bailey logo here. It reminds me of some kind of cleaning product.
It does look like
a fresh start.
It does look like a Dettol or something.
I mean, that's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't mention stop and search. He could have. If it was me, I would have brought up the fact that Khan stopped stop and search, whereas Boris, when he was in power, enforced it pretty. Boris reduced crime. Khan stopped stop and search, and that's been one of the huge reasons for that. But I reckon Bailey has strategically not mentioned that because he's going
definitely
for black vote. He's going for black vote, isn't he?
100%. Again, this is what I'm saying about. I mean, this is at least I'm not Sadiq, but again, you're still in a similar situation. I don't want more police officers. I want the Duarte, whatever the Filipino guy.
Yeah.
I want that style policing against drug dealers in London. So.
Giuliani on crime. Giuliani, New York in the 70s and 80s was a much bigger shithole than London is today. Giuliani cleaned that place up famously with his broken glass policy or whatever. He could just ape some of that sort of stuff. It's not just extra police officers. It's what do the police officers do on the street?
But that's again. I think this is the real problem. Because again, you'll still have whatever her name is, Felicia Dick or whatever her name is. It's still totally corrupt. Yeah. Great. All we do is get more corrupt police officers. So
I'd run if I was Sean Bailey. I'd be like, the first thing I'm going to do is fucking fire Cressida Dick because she's been a disaster. I mean, why didn't he say, listen, if you elect me, I'll replace Cressida Dick with this guy, literally Norman Tebbit or something. I'm just bring in this dude. Who is it? Whoever. Pick your strong man, basically. But he didn't. He hasn't done that. He's kind of pussyfooted around a bit. Anyway, still, It's a bit one note though. He's just gone on crime. Nothing else.
I think it's still pretty weak, if that makes sense. And again, it was all the production quality was much better. I thought. Again, the shots and the lighting and stuff was pretty strong, but even still, it's nothing compared. Think back to those Trump adverts, and I mean, obviously they're going to be spending more, but the ad spend was relatively low. I would say, maybe a medium-sized brand would spend a similar amount of cash.
Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. So who do you want to go for next? We've got we've got Lawrence Fox, right?
Let's just do
We've
Fox.
got-
Let's just get that guy
Yeah, let's have Fox.
done with.
Where's Fox? Here's Loza Fox. Here we go. Was that the one? No. This was not the one.
No, I found you the proper one. If it's on the private,
yeah. Sorry.
chat.
Hold on. Here it is on YouTube. Lawrence Fox. I mean, it's poor engagement.
I mean, yeah. Already, just take a look at the shot though. It's him lying down on the sofa with his dog. You know, firstly it's kind of, and then it's kind of shit tier artwork on the wall. What it shows is, you know, I'm just like you. I'm a middle class guy. I love dogs. I'm super casual about this.
Yeah. So let's see. It doesn't exactly say though, I could be the mayor of a major city.
Exactly. Look, tattoo on hand. He's wearing jeans. Where is the authority? This is just like some guy down the pub.
Yeah, he's missing the. I mean, if you take foundations of rhetoric, one of the other things I mention is if you're going to give a speech or something, be overdressed, wear a cool suit, you know, be your best self. This is not sending out the message that he's a capable, competent 10, right? Yeah. Is it?
No,
it's not giving out a message.
He's not a serious man. You know, he's bringing his dogs into this. You know.
So that is a poor visual cue, I would say. Wearing jeans, you know, tattoo showing, just a bad vibe, especially given that most of the people he's going to be trying to get are going to be right wingers.
Yeah.
Right wingers don't want that. You know?
Exactly. Also, I love his face there. Just zoom in. Can we get a zoom in on the kind of looking down sneer on his face? That's great.
Yeah, I can see. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in on YouTube. But there we go. Let's carry on.
Right. Here we go. Over the last couple of months, I have been out on the streets every day talking to the people of London. From Romford to Uxbridge, Sidcup and Sutton. It's been an absolute pleasure, but I find myself here now today. So, what have I learned? Well, I've learned that people are frightened to speak their minds. They're frightened of being called a phobe or an ist by those who wish to kill the conversation. I've learned that they're frightened for their children as knife crime surges all around them. I've learned that they're worried about their livelihoods and their ability to provide for their families, as their perfectly good cars and vans are scrapped to satisfy the doomsday cultists. They're worried about what their kids are being taught in school. They don't want their statues torn down or their history rewritten. They don't want to be despised and sneered at for being patriotic. They want to preserve our shared culture so we can pass it on to our children. And I've learned that it's very hard for someone to be able to call London home if there's such a small possibility of them ever being able to afford a house here. And I've learned that despite what Sadiq Khan will tell you, there's a huge amount of love in this city and a real genuine desire for people just to help one another. So we have a choice, both as a capital city and as a nation moving forward. It's a choice of hope over fear and freedom over slavery. I know which one I will choose. So here we are at the end of the London mayoral bid, and my landslide victory is only days away. I'd like to thank the many millions of Londoners who voted for me over Sadiq Khan. I've got lots of projects that I'm looking forward to sharing with you very, very soon as this new young party, the Reclaim Party, gathers pace. And remember, freedom fighters, lying on your beds many years from now, would you trade all the days from this day till then for one chance, just one chance, to say to your enemies, I voted for Lawrence Fox in London on May the 6th. It's your London, it's your freedom. Reclaim it.
Now,
Lordy,
everybody watching this, right, should be a natural voter for this guy. so tell me what was wrong with this advert.
Okay, so again, I think it's just the general casualness to it. Again, I'm just casually going off the sofa into this discussion. How he's. I think just the images at the start's really interesting. So if you can just zoom back to his various conversations with people, you can see him speaking to like Labour people. Yeah, is that
Yeah.
Okay, no, okay. Well, I thought that was Labour signs. I think that's his
Free
brand.
London, yeah.
But he's just trying to appeal to a very broad base here. This guy has no idea who his friends are and who his enemies are. This woman here, this is not his friend. This is his enemy. Someone who will be banning you on Twitter for saying the wrong thing. And again, all of his rhetoric is about universalism, and we need to connect together through love. What his enemies are doing are stamping him on the face with a boot, and he's being like, "Why don't we just pull together?" He just doesn't understand core fundamentals about politics and the way that people are and the way that people vote. Again, even if can we go back to that thing at the statue? I mean, this is the poorest lineup of people ever. I mean, they managed to get like 10 people. There's huge gaps across there, and again, I just love some of the figures. Apologies if anyone's listening and you're in that lineup, but it's just such. I mean, that's the coolest guy there. I don't know. He looks like he's gonna unleash hell. There's just so much to hate about him. I just hate his pose. I just hate the way he's chatting about things. But I think he's fundamentally he just doesn't understand politics. He doesn't understand who his friends are and who his enemies are.
I mean, Lawrence Fox. Let's face it. There's a chance he's watching, or somebody from his team is watching. You've got to learn the lessons about what politics is, the friend-enemy distinction. Because I think I agree with you that there's not. This is too woolly, basically, to grab people enough to make them vote for you. Like, what's he offering here? He's offering. It sounds like platitude. It sounds like emptiness. And when he says my landslide victory, he doesn't seem sincere. He doesn't seem. You don't believe that he believes that.
Well, it's that Gen Xer irony or whatever. But again, it's a total insincerity. And again, people want heroes. They want people they can believe in and trust. And it's kind of like, as soon as you say that, it's a kind of defeatism. When you say, "Oh, I'm going to get my landslide victory," like we both know it's not going to happen. So it's a kind of way of like laughing at himself. It's a very strange advert.
He's too sardonic in a way to. But even somebody with Gen X sensibility is not really appealing, even to me. And I'm a classic Daria, as you know.
And just one last thing on the policies again. Like, you got to think about who are the people that he's trying to flip across to him. He was always going to go on a like a free speech thing, but he turns that free speech angle into freedom. But again, those two words have very different connotations in people's heads. If you're going to go for a free speech thing, just hit the word free speech over and over and over again. Freedom means so many different things to different people. To that pink-haired woman he was walking with, freedom probably means it's the freedom not having to hear TERFs talk about trans people in a certain way. While free speech has a very definite meaning, there's nothing about policy in there or specific decisions. It's a total joke of an advert.
I also think it's a misfire to mix in some of the anti-lockdown stuff as well, because I'm not convinced that is necessarily that much of a. It's not necessarily the suggestion is that if you're on this free speech thing, you're also going to be like massively anti-lockdown, but I'm not necessarily sure that's an assumption you can make from what I've seen, even within my own audience. Like, does that make it? Or if that's a vote getter at all in London, I don't get this great groundswell of anti-lockdown in and around London. I could be wrong there. But,
I mean, there are large protests, but I think it's people coming into London to do those. And I think again, it's probably outside the M25, and probably like it's your Essex guy as opposed to it's your Essex beauty worker as opposed to your London work from home metrosexual office worker.
Strangely low energy though, isn't he? Don't know why. Like, he's gone for like a kind of cool Gen X thing, but it doesn't work for some reason.
But again, like I think his delivery was quite good, obviously with his kind of acting background, but the kind of lines were terrible. again, I would be going for like a big Henry V style speech that's going to blow people away and electrify them and make them fundamentally change how they think about the world. But this was kind of like, even the music and stuff like that was just this very good kind of like bumbling along piano piece. You're having just like a fireside chat with Lawrence here, but that's not going to awaken people up. I think it's a fundamental misstep. There's so many mistakes with the ad. The production quality was actually pretty good. Again, like some of the shots with him where they were kind of had like a short focal range was quite nice, and I thought that was reasonable. The production quality, I'd give it like a 6 or 7, but the actual content was totally failed as a political advert.
Yeah. So let's have a look at then this guy from the SDP. Shall we have a look at next? Or Brian Rose? Who do you want to? Let's go look at this guy from the SDP. First of all, you wanted to have a look at his. This is Steve Keller. I mean, and you wanted to have a look at this banner here.
I mean, what a lad here! Obviously, it's part of some kind of progressive rock band. He also sort of reminds me of like a 50s Teddy Boy. If you see some of his outfits, he's kind of got like the big quiff and like long jackets.
He's got less followers than me on Twitter, which is not a good sign. Anyway, let's have a look at his ad. This is the SDP. So this is the kind of party of choice for like Rod Liddell and people who are kind of left on economics but socially conservative. Yeah. Claire Fox is supporting these, and what's his name? Martin Daubney, people like this. Let's see, because he's another one who's coming out of a kind of anti-woke kind of perspective, I'd imagine, the SDP.
Yeah, he'll be someone trying to appeal to us, I'd imagine.
So let's have a look at him then. So this is interesting. It's kind of Blair uniform plus flair. Look at the little flower.
Blair flair.
Blair
like
flair.
That, yeah.
The kind of little flowery.
Those poor buttons. They're holding on.
Let's have a watch of this.
My name's Steve Kelleher. I'm standing to be Mayor of London. I didn't even want to get involved in politics, but
the audio mix is
terrible already. Yeah,
and I say that as somebody who routinely gets audio mix wrong. So
had to when I see what's going on. Crime through the roof. The crime rate in London is rising 5 times faster than in the rest of the country. The murder rate is at a 3-year high. And just yesterday, 2 girls stabbed up in West Norwood. 4 boys caught for the crime, we hope. But
yeah, I mean, he's going on crime, but the trouble is that Bailey's kind of gone on that turf pretty heavily. So he needs to differentiate himself from Bailey here. Like, what's he going to do different?
Also, just note on that, again, he is going for the kind of facts and logic here. He's saying, this many people have been killed, blah, 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 things going up. Well, Bailey didn't say a single stat at all. His was just purely emotive. So again, in that regard, I think it was just so much better. Just one like little point, if you can roll back a little bit, you can see he's gone for the finger point with the finger, which is hilarious because it's hard to see, but he does like, he's doing like the finger pistol, which is a classic no-no in gesticulation.
Yeah, you meant to do the George W. Bush or the Blair point with the thumb. They were big on that, Blair and Bush.
Oh, I hate the thumb point. I will not say my favourite gesticulator, but we'll carry on.
Sorry, I don't know why my mind went to that individual. My favourite gesticulator is actually the mid-century Italian because he's got ridiculous facial features and so on.
I was doing a stream the other day about the art of Mussolini, and actually, again, it's very interesting the way that he kind of pushes himself out there as a political figure. And one thing I hadn't noticed beforehand is his head pose. He tends to lean his head back to create a sense of additional height and kind of pose and majesty. And again, it's really interesting to watch.
He juts his chin out as well, doesn't he?
Like it's really worth watching some of his speeches again, just to compare it to that. This guy's got his left hand probably in his pocket. He's kind of slouching. He's done the finger pistols. It's just so casual, non-authoritarian. But again, people look for authority, especially in voting, and I think that's underestimated.
One of the issues with this is, right, he's gone for this kind of cash boomer look, right? He's spitting fact and logic. There should be graphics, backing up
graphs,
the stats that he's, and he should be suited and booted. Okay, not this. What's this cash thing all about? Why, just be an authority, for God's sake. Am I wrong? Anyway, let's carry on.
Again, I think everyone's just trying to copy Blair, but no, these guys aren't Blair. If only Blair is Blair.
And also, it's not 1997 anymore. This thing is at its day. I think I honestly think people would rather someone who had genuine authority. Or maybe it's just me, but let's carry on.
4 boys caught for the crime, we hope. But violence is out of control. Something's got to be done, and it's happened under Mayor Khan's watch. Sadiq Khan, he's doing his best, but it's just not very good. Look at what's going on with low traffic neighbourhoods, imposed on Londoners without any democratic process or consultation. It's causing rat runs, it's causing solid traffic, pollution.
See, he's going for a kind of mate down the pub vibe.
Yeah.
You're meant to be bidding to be my leader in a way, or someone who I can have faith in to sort these problems out. He sounds like he's having a moan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Because again, I think Farage is quite a good example of, he sort of gives off a little bit of make down the pub, but he also is definitely a step up, if that makes sense. He isn't the guy down at the pub. He dresses better. He speaks a little bit differently. His mannerisms are different. Do you see what I'm saying? He's sort of elevated a little bit compared to this guy.
God's sake, watching this is making me think I should run, but I'm not going to. If I ever talk about that, persuade me not to. All right, let's carry on.
And our emergency services can't get to the emergencies. And at the same time, with London Transport, we're not running to budget. He's not a businessman. He's a lawyer who comes up with great excuses.
If I do run, I'm wearing a fucking Pinochet cape. Anyway, carry on.
And I'm afraid it's not good enough anymore. 4 years ago, I voted for Sadiq Khan. And since then, I've seen tribal, identitarian...
Well,
I mean, why would you say that you voted for your enemy at this point? Again, that's a massive negative. The fact that you mentioned that you voted for Blair, people have hounded you since you've mentioned that every single time, because it's just such a negative against your person. Do you know what I'm saying? Why would you say that? It just massively just devalues people's opinion of you. That's just such an own goal in your own video.
He's not saying anything that any of us would disagree with, but he's doing it in such a weak, boomery way. It's just dude, any of us could vote for you. If you're in the London catchment area, but it's just come on.
Divisive politics, and he only represents the people who agree with him. Londoners need to unite, and that's why I'm standing on the 6th of May to unite London. Remember, you have 2 votes. Make sure one of them is for Steve Kelleher and the SDP.
I like that as well, where he knows he's not going to be the first choice. So he's like, oh, put me on as number 2. Make sure that one of them is. So again, it's kind of a bit pathetic in my opinion that you're always going to be number 2. I would just I would never admit defeat like that in my own video up front. It's just a sign of total weakness.
Where's the dragon energy? We need
I've put in private chats. I've sent you a link to a certain chap. We should just compare this the silhouette of the 2 men here.
Here's the mid-century Italian. I mean, I would say all of these background minions have a stronger pose than him as well.
I didn't even notice that. I think this guy's great. But again, I just love his position. His boots are literally off the edge of the platform here. He's dressed in this kind of ridiculous outfit, the left hand in a power pose on his waist, and just the fist as he looks up. I mean, that is how you do authority. And but you need your minions. If you ever do your parliamentary attempt, firstly we'll get you a cape, then we'll get a whole lot of minions around you, just ridiculously dressed.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, I'm afraid. Okay, so let's carry on with okay, we've got a choice of Count Bin Face, Lib Dem candidate Louisa Porritt.
Let's do Lib Dems. They're probably next.
Yeah. Okay. And there's also David Catan. There, this is loads of candidates. So let's. There's the Brian Rose. Okay, let's have a look at her then.
Hi, I'm Louisa Porritt, the Liberal Democrat candidate for Mayor of London, and in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to.
Can I just say, right? Anybody who's ever worked in London, you've met this woman so many times. You've worked with her.
Democrat candidate.
She's literally the face of every office. Am I wrong?
Annoying. You're not wrong. Every annoying woman in the office. This is a terrible shot. They've got her bobbing up and down like a ship on the sea here. Just the tracking is so bad. It's making me feel sick, travel sick, watching her forehead fly up and down.
It's something about the cadence and the accent. It's just like, yeah, you just graduated and went into marketing, didn't you, or whatever, you know. Anyway, let's carry on.
Hi, I'm Louisa Porritt, the Liberal Democrat candidate for Mayor of London.
One more thing. Sorry, I just love when she said her name. Her name flew up. Just zoom back a second.
What do you mean her name flew? Oh yes, yeah.
Hi, I'm Louisa Porritt, the Liberal Democrat. Hi, I'm Louisa Porritt, the Liberal Democrat candidate for Mayor of London, and in the
something about this one because
she's so annoying already.
It's
I've known her less than a minute.
It's the flared nostrils. The flared nostrils. I'm like, didn't you work in operations like in 2010? anyway, let's carry on. Sorry, I'm being ridiculous. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Hi, I'm Louisa Porritt, the Liberal Democrat candidate for Mayor of London, and in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to tell you about my plan to take London forward with 3 simple priorities: jobs, homes, and clean air. Jobs. I'll reinvent our high streets for the future. I'll unlock more apprenticeships, and I'll fight for small businesses impacted by the effects of the pandemic. Homes. I'll convert empty.
Now, talking about authority, she didn't sound authoritative when she said pandemic. Very weak vocal inflection. Too feminine, too weak.
Yeah, this is also the problem with the walking, is that she was running out of breath and couldn't really say the words properly. So
when she says pandemic, listen to the cadence. She goes up and it's weak. It's weak. You'll need to go down. You need to. This is also in the final lecture of Foundations of Rhetoric when I talk about delivery a little bit. You need to go down. This is why Margaret Thatcher had training. Down at the end of the sentence gives you authority. Up is submissive. Listen to how she says pandemic here.
Office space into quality, affordable, zero carbon homes.
No, hold on.
I'll convert empty office space,
pandemic,
unlock more apprenticeships, and I'll fight for small businesses impacted by the effects of the pandemic. Homes.
Weak.
I'll convert empty office space into quality, affordable, zero carbon homes. I'll make sure that affordable truly means affordable, and I'll fight for the victims of the cladding scandal.
Sorry, whose kids are they? Who's let those 2 young kids out by themselves on scooters? That is an accident waiting to happen. I wonder if they planted them there to kind of make it feel like it's a normal street. They're like someone that's probably one of the production team's kids, but then they didn't want to put a full adult in there. Come on, when have you seen 2 kids on scooters in London just roaming around?
Yeah. If I was writing this, Pharaoh, right, I would rewrite a lot of her lines so that she has a stronger stress on the last syllable to compensate for her natural lack of authority in her voice. Yeah. She's obviously got a high-pitched voice, right? So you could rewrite these lines so that you're ending on a strong syllable, and that would help her, I think. With the delivery of some of these lines. But anyway, let's carry on.
Well, clean air. I'll scrap Sadiq Khan's polluting road tunnel. I'll introduce a fairer pay-as-you-go road pricing system. And finally, I'll reworld London with more green roofs and walks. If you agree with my plan to take London forward, then join my team by signing up at the link.
Weak. So, like...
I mean, again, she knew what the points were, and again, this is why this is so much better than Fox, for example, where again it's just like a couple of policies. But again, I think the problem that they have is it's just everyone talking about the same thing. But it's Bailey's talking about homes, Khan's talking about homes. oh, I can do more homes than you can do homes. I can do 10 times the number of homes. It just sort of becomes meaningless to a certain point, I think.
Yeah. But I feel like she's not, like, who is that advert going to appeal to? I feel like it's only going to appeal to people who are like her.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking Gen Z women, basically students. Like the music was kind of quite like, quite drum related or whatever, quite snappy. So I think it's trying to hit that younger voter, but it's just pretty weak. And again, I think she has no authority. There wasn't any of that kind of social proof in there. Didn't try and pull in someone else. So overall pretty weak, but still better than Fox.
So we've got Brian Rose, Count Binface, the Women's Equality Party, and I haven't found it yet, but there's also what's his name? David Curtin. David Curtin.
Let's do Binface.
Okay, so this is Count Binface.
So he's like the spoof candidate, isn't he? He
Yeah,
sort of messes around.
And one poll I saw showed that Count Binface was kind of neck and neck with Lawrence Fox. So here's Count Binface.
You used to have comedians run your capital. They somehow won elections. It must be magical. Now my name is Count Binface. I used to be Lord Buckethead. You might think I'm crazy, but I don't even care. 'Cause now in 2021, it's hip to be man. Fit to be man. You've seen the other candidates. They're quite a potpourri. To clean up greater London streets, there's no one else like me. I'll give London CFAX.
I might vote for him. I like CFAX. CFAX has got my vote.
Just don't even care. I know that it sounds crazy, but someday we'll get there. Let's put the city on the map. It's hip to be mayor. Fit to be mayor. It's hip to be mayor. Fit to be mayor. It's hip to be mayor. Fit to be mayor. It's hip to be mayor. Fit to be mayor.
Now, I have one major criticism of this advert, which is that he
can't sing.
Well, he went for Boris and Ken Livingstone and avoided attacking Sadiq Khan, which I noticed, and I can't forgive that. So Binface lost me by attacking only Boris and Ken Livingstone and not attacking Khan.
It's interesting because obviously he's just a shitlib Khan voter,
Yeah, he's just a shitlib, basically, and that revealed it.
Yeah.
The fact that he wouldn't attack Khan revealed it for me, although I do like Bim Boozle. It's nice.
This is great. Yeah, I used to love CFAX. So, yeah, the thing is, at least it's kind of like funny, and it was going on a couple of points, but obviously it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that amusing, to be honest. Shall we have a look at Brian Rose?
Let's do it. Someone in chat described him as Reddit, and I think that's 100% right. He is the standard Reddit voter.
Who is Binface?
Binface having a Reddit moment, yeah.
Okay, so here's Brian Rose. Can I just say, what about that?
I mean, it's a strong look, and it's a great. It's a great pocket square. There's nothing like an overflowing pocket square.
This Sunday, I was just saying to this lovely lady.
Hold on. Brian Rose. Okay, so let me.
I can actually find. Yeah, I couldn't find an advert for him, but maybe just go for that top one because it sort of looks like
this one,
the closest thing. Yeah.
Brian Rose.
This Sunday, my whole family came on the bus, and so
he's American.
I didn't know much about him at all. I don't really. I've seen his adverts before, but I've never heard of him before or know who he is. So
he's immediately lost because they're never going to vote for an American. I mean, he is kind of Chad, but he's fucking American.
I mean, this is quite a strong look there already because again, you've got the kind of the large seats of the bus, sort of enveloping the screen. You've got him properly dressed. He's got the Brian for Mayor.
Good merch.
Yeah, he knows his merch game. He's got kind of papers showing that he kind of reads the papers. He's got his iPad. He's almost kind of like a Dragon's Den kind of figure. So again, trying to pull off those kind of vibes. He's obviously a businessman.
I mean, I would say that he's already knocking the pants off Lawrence Fox for our audience.
Yeah.
Sons, Damon and Caden were here. My wife was here. And here's a picture from the back of the bus. We celebrated Orthodox Easter.
Paste.
But yeah, exactly. I was just like, but this is it. He's hitting at the marks. He's showing that he's a family man. He's actually got a child because people are looking for leaders with kids. He's showing that he actually celebrates Easter and is a Christian. Great.
Together, and we were breaking some hard-boiled eggs in the back, and it's a tradition my wife brought to us from Bulgaria, and my sons love breaking some eggs. And my son Damon proceeded to fall asleep on the bus, and yet Caden proceeded to touch everything, and he loved the bus. So those are two different reactions. We understand them both, and it was great to have my family here. It's been just an incredible journey on this bus again.
So again, I think it's interesting saying his wife's Bulgarian. I wonder if he's trying to go for like the socially conservative, religious, ethnic voter. So probably like your Catholic Pole or your Bulgarians or your Romanians, basically.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I mean, he so far he's beaten Lawrence Fox for me. Although I have to say Bailey's focus on crime is still probably winning it for me at the moment. But let's carry on.
Again, we've logged over 5,000 miles and spoken with so many people. People love the bus, and it's incredible. It's also an incredible place to stand on top of.
He has a bit of Trump energy, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. I sort of like it, yeah. Again, the branding is good, though. Look, he's got the Brian for Mayor.London. Again, you need to create a personal brand for yourself at this time because you are, at the same time, part. You're not necessarily just pure like human anymore. You need to have that kind of bigger identity, and he understands that and understands what you need to do to establish that. The use of color, for example, here, he's actually cunningly taken the red away from Sadiq. We saw, I don't know if you saw on the last slides, the last thing of Sadiq's image, he didn't use the label red. So he's come in and said, look, red's my color now, I'm claiming that space. And in terms of like a visual symbology perspective. So
yeah, I mean, of all of the kind of non-serious candidates, quote unquote, or outsider candidates, he's doing the best so far because at least he's projecting something. Unlike the SDP guy or Lawrence Fox, who basically didn't even look like they'd have a shot. At least this guy, if you say like, "Oh, he's done surprisingly well," you'd be like, "Well, okay," because he's at least his branding is good. At least he's got an image. At least he's got a distinct message, although he hasn't actually said what he's for yet. So let's see where he goes with this.
When you're giving a speech in front of Parliament, we just found out as well. So that's been fun. I've also been doing Instagram lives with incredible people from around the world, celebrities, influencers, former London Real guests. And here's a picture of me doing
social proof here
on Instagram.
Although he's talked about himself a lot so far, and we're a minute in, so.
She's got the mug. Also notice his background as well. It's in an office showing he's got the kind of like, he's the choice for business.
Yeah, he's a serious guy. But also she's quite fit as well, which is another bit of liking. It's the social mode of not liking. Anyway, let's carry on.
I'm live from last week with supermodel, wellness expert, entrepreneur, Elle Macpherson. She's been a big supporter of ours since last year when we...
Is that Elle Macpherson?
Lol.
Yeah, okay, fit.
Fought up for freedom of speech. We fought for your right to have digital freedom of speech. We continue to fight for that right. And
See,
as your
again,
next mayor of London, I will fight for
sorry,
freedom of
again.
speech.
This is what I'm saying. You don't want to use the word freedom. You want to use freedom of speech because it means very different things, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And so again, hitting that hard. So that's again.
Look,
yeah, that's a strong.
Bush
That is
point.
strong.
The
Yes,
Bush point.
exactly. Watch the hand. Watch the hand. He's slicing through the enemy with that hand.
That's the Bush hand. Anyway, let's carry on.
And freedom of assembly.
That the American politicians love that chop. Anyway, carry on.
For all Londoners and all people in the world. And Elle's been a big supporter of us, and we really appreciate her coming on the show. She also had some incredible insights about wellness, about her routines, about both of our.
See, this is another big thing about London Mayor, though, is that the London Mayor has a lot of business meetings. So it has to be someone who you'd think could be a serious kind of negotiator. And despite all of the kind of memery of this, you'd believe that this guy could handle himself in a business meeting.
Definitely.
He just gives off the vibe that he could, unlike the SDP guy, who you'd think wouldn't be able to handle himself in such a meeting. Or Lawrence Fox, because Lawrence Fox strikes you as a guy who's never had such a meeting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he would just sort of like be bored. You can imagine day one as mayor, he sort of wanders off to get a cheeky pint rather than do his job.
Addiction. It was an incredible episode. She's an incredible woman. We appreciate her support. And I've been talking to all sorts of people, world wrestling, people like Diamond Dallas Page, mob bosses like Michael Franzi.
Diamond Dallas Page.
that's literally, he's going for the AA voter there. He's just heard that the AA voter is big into wrestling. We've got to hit the wrestling audience.
I've been endorsed by a mob boss. What? I mean, he has given no real policies yet in a minute and 35. He's just going to big himself up.
He had the free speech thing, to be fair.
All right, okay. Diamond Dallas Page, God's sake.
I had Red Bull champion breakdancing and future Olympic hopeful Menno Van Gorp. I had bodybuilder Flex Wheeler. And
do any of these people actually live in London? They just Diamond Dallas Page doesn't live in London, does he?
There's such an eclectic range. I just feel like he's just trying to build a team together of the most random professional influencers.
Got endorsements of mob bosses. Yeah.
Entrepreneur Patrick Bet David. I got more people coming up this week as well. So we're super excited to get more people, and they're all really endorsing me to be your next mayor of London. And it's important to show this is a global race. We also got coverage on ABC News. We were featured in the New York Post last week.
I mean, does any of this matter?
No, this is just him. This is just like pomp and self-pumping up,
Yeah. Does he have a serious video?
This is a global race because our ideas can change every city around the world, and we couldn't be more excited as well. We've also got all sorts of other things going out there. All of our digital ads are happening outdoors. We've got them on the Cromwell Road. We've got them on Old Street. We've got them everywhere. Full page.
Couldn't have looked like he didn't know where Old Street was more.
Also, he called it the Old Street, which is even better. It's on the Old Street.
Has he ever even been to London, this guy?
I mean, he's been to it in his bus. He's been on the bus. That's how he just gets around London now. It's just this gigantic bus.
What about the downward finger point? What do you think
Down's
about
great as well. I approve of that. That's like, again, you're crushing your enemies with the point of your finger.
Every single day this week, heading up to the election. Our brianformayor.london website has been visited over 8.5 million times, shared so many times as well. And we keep hearing the same rumor everywhere we go, from places very high up as well, that says Sadiq Khan is not as popular as the media and the polls say. And Brian Rose.
I'd love that. I'd love for that to be true. I would love for that to be true.
Is much.
Although I've not heard that rumor of you.
No.
I mean, is there any chance we're getting gaslighted here by the polls?
Probably, but I still think it's. I think, like I said, do not underestimate the amount of white flight that has gone on in the last 4 months. Seriously.
Much more popular than everyone is saying. People are expecting a big upset on May 6th, and so are we. But that can only happen if you go out and vote. So make sure you vote, and your friends and family vote Brian for mayor. And we're going to put on an incredible show and an incredible display.
He just picked himself up for 3 minutes.
I don't think this is a real. I don't think this is a real advert. I think we need to find his actual. I'll see if I can find his actual advert. If we want to do. Did you manage to find Curtin's one?
Let's have a look at Curtin. Hold on. I've noticed We Got a Problem follows all these guys. He's like a real junkie, isn't he? Let's have a look. Heritage Party in Tooting. Debate. Vote Heritage. I mean, he's just got one where he's talking straight to the camera with a Union Jack behind him. Should we have a look at that one?
Yeah, let's just do that anyway.
I don't know if it's a proper one, but it's a. While you're looking for the, while people are, if you can find any of these, by the way, just at me on Twitter, because it was quite hard to. We found that the YouTube search engine just doesn't work anymore. Like I couldn't find anything. Searching for Khan even couldn't find Sadiq Khan's ones. So so this is David Curtin. Now has he been on Lotus Eaters? I want to say he's been on.
I think Sargon's definitely interviewed him before. So
yeah, why is his Heritage Party badge back to front now? Why is the lettering the wrong way around? Is that like a trick of the camera or something? It's a bit odd. But let's see what Curtin has got to say.
Good morning, everybody. So it's the 6th of May. It's election day, and I'm standing in the London Mayor and Assembly elections. So please vote for me in London, and please vote Heritage Party for the London Assembly as well. And just whatever you do, please go out and vote, because very often in the London elections, the local elections, by-elections, turnout tends to be very low. People don't go out so much to vote as in general elections. But this time we really, really need to, because we've got a situation in the country, as we all know, the Tories and the Labour are working together to take away our civil liberties, to lock us down.
True.
And the effects on small businesses, on children's education, on mental health has been absolutely disastrous. This is what I call the fake Conservatives and Labour acting together. Please, everybody.
Correct. Is he an AA watcher?
Yeah.
Get out of the trap of saying, I'm going to vote Tory to keep Labour out, or I'm going to vote Labour to keep Tory out. They are two hands of the same beast. And we need to get rid of that beast to restore our liberties, to restore common sense to our country. So I've started the Heritage Party to represent that. I'm sure many of you have seen our manifesto. So we stand for being proud of our wonderful country and defending and restoring our history and heritage and celebrating that, for traditional family values, for financial responsibility in government, not wasting huge amounts of money on ridiculous schemes that either Tory and Labour both do together. So vote for the Heritage Party, please. As well as me standing in London, we've got fantastic candidates in selected areas in local elections around the country, and we'll have more next time. And particularly if you live in Hartlepool, vote for Claire Martin there, who's a wonderful, wonderful candidate. The only party candidate who's actually for Hartlepool, who will be the best representative for you there in Westminster.
A bit light on policy detail.
Yeah, I mean it's just an update video, there, isn't it? I think to be fair, I'm just being nice.
I couldn't really find his. Couldn't really find if he's got like a proper. He's got one on non-hate incidents. I mean, I get the feeling that if anybody's our guy, it might be this guy. Judging by his tone.
I think so, and the things he's kind of mentioned beforehand, I think he definitely needs a good marketing team behind him, basically, to because again, it's like if we can't even find his adverts, I think that means he's probably stuffed from day one. You know what he needs? He needs to be mentored by that Rose guy, the Brian used to teach Curtin how to sell himself a little bit better. But then I think there's a few things again, just like the lack of tie, which again. It's just a no-brainer, and it's gonna. Everyone's just trying to be so casual these days. People don't necessarily want casual. You know, if everyone's the same, then it's easy to stand out. I think that's.
I mean, drilling down. I mean, some of his policies, as London Mayoral, end the harassment and intimidation of Christians, which has grown in London over the last 5 years.
Nice.
Interesting that he's. I mean, he seems to be really unlike Lawrence Fox, a genuinely right-wing candidate.
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah.
I get the impression that Fox got a bit of attention from his Question Time incident. Got a lot of. I swear this is the whole thing is just like a grift around women. Basically, he just got a whole lot of Prosecco Tory love, and then was just like, oh, I'm going to boost myself up further. / get some cash from creating my own party. I can rent a bus out, feel like a big man. So I feel like Fox is 100% grift. Curtin's definitely legit. I think where he probably suffers from is on the branding and the marketing side. And again, if we can sort of fuse Brian for mayor together with Curtin, I think they would have a good shot. So
I mean, he is like looking down. There is no climate emergency. As London Mayor, I'll end the war on motorists.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know if London is the right place to run though, because I just don't know how many people in London. I mean, let's face it, all the shit-libs in the country live in London. So, do you know what I mean? Am I wrong? London, he claims it's a 2-horse race between himself and Khan. I mean, how's he polled? I mean, I haven't really seen any polls, but I'm guessing he doesn't really have a shot.
It's relatively small. There is a long tail of these kind of smaller parties, but I think it's like Khan is at 41, Bailey at 32, and then everyone else sort of spread across the rest.
Right.
But I think he's definitely genuine. I thought his gesticulation was good. He speaks very well. So again, it would have been good to have like an actual advert and something that really just distills down his thinking in a really short way. So I feel he sort of missed a trick there. But
so I'm looking at the final polls here. Sadiq Khan 41, Sean Bailey 29, Louisa Porritt 8, Sean Berry 5. That's the Green candidate, right? Ethers 17. That's everybody else combined. After transfers, it shakes out Sadiq Khan 60, Sean Bailey 40.
There you go.
Which is a crushing defeat for Bailey. Just terrible. Yes, Sean Berry. Now, there's also the Women's Equality Party that you found.
I want to see that just for the cursed levels. It's got to be bad, surely.
This is the Women's Equality Party, another kind of splinter party from the left. The field is very big, isn't it? So let's see who this is.
If I had 3 wishes right now, a decent commute, decent pay, and a decent place to come home to, and Idris Elba to rub my feet.
These mornings are even more impossible since the nursery closed. Oh, thank God for Mum. But if I'm late, I'm scared.
Can I just say the lack of capitalization on the subtitles is triggering me hard. But anyway, carry on.
I want to scroll back already. So again, like the first shot we see is the pub of the 10 Johns. I like to think it's the 10 John Dees. John Dee has multiplied himself 10 times as a figure of male oppression.
Did you see the bus, by the way? Because you're worth less.
Exactly.
You see that?
Again, that's also run by John Dee. And then you've got also I thought it was kind of a little bit weird. She's talking about like getting Idris Elba to rub her feet or whatever. I thought this was meant to be like a feminist party. But again, I just love to. It's just such a weird thing to say. Anyway, but sorry.
Did you notice the dog? What was the suggestion that they're so poor that the dog has to eat pizza off the street? Like, what was that?
These mornings are even more impossible since the nursery closed. Oh, thank God for Mum. But if I'm late, I'm scared I'll lose my job. They've already got rid of Jackie, said it was a business decision. But I think it's because she missed a day when her dad's carer got sick.
Wish I could help more, but we can't get by without me working all the hours in the day.
My God. I mean...
I love the soy boyfriend. He's riding a bike
That couple doesn't exist, though, does it? Let's face it, that couple does not exist.
Cheer up, darlings. It may never happen.
This has kind of got a monkey dust. It's got a monkey dust vibe. I just realised. If you ever watched that whole show?
Yeah.
Just wait till I'm in charge. A year of shielding. Finally, I get to the lecture in person.
That's about right, isn't it? The standard lecturer these days is some kind of disabled professor who's been shielding, been supping up the COVID. Oh.
If I can ever get to college, of course.
He always says it will never happen again. It always happens again. Now he started in on her.
The dog again, just surviving.
What a day. The thing that kept me going was knowing that this evening I'm going to do something amazing. I'm going to vote for the party that shares my optimism. Come on. The Women's Equality Party is the only party that shares my optimism. This is for care workers and carers. This is for survivors of domestic abuse. This is for teachers. This is for grandmothers, aunties, mothers, sisters, daughters.
Oh.
This is for everyone.
See, it all started World War II.
Equality is better for everyone.
Together.
Oh.
The 10 Johns has become the everyone. Look at that. Oh my god.
This is literally dystopian.
I just can't believe.
And again, it's just like the disabled person as well. This is literally
We
hilarious.
can make sure ending violence against women and girls is made a political priority, so we can live free from fear on the streets and at home. We can make childcare affordable and give care workers a real living wage as part of our care-led recovery. We can build an economy focused on the well-being of people in London.
This May, vote for the Women's Equality Party. Make sure to put your cross on the orange ballot next to the Women's Equality Party's London list to send their brilliant candidates to the London Assembly. Do that, and together we will make equality a reality.
I mean, I can imagine that for the core voter base, that may be effective. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think the problem is the symbolism in there is just ridiculously obvious, and it's just so cringe and terrible at the same time. But then
it's
I'm
also
just
not
imagining,
true, though, is it? Because Sadiq Khan banned the knockers from the side of the bus and all that sort of stuff. So.
Again, the way that they're displaying the certain people who are being affected by violence and stuff. It's kind of like, imagine reality has gone through the distorted mind of a leftist 60-year-old boomer, and that's genuinely how they see life through that lens. And it's just a complete and utter fiction of reality and the truths as to what's going on in different communities and who's being affected. So, but I would say relatively slick, and again, had quite a strong message. So again, just very disappointed that Curtin didn't manage to pull something together like that.
Probably better than Lawrence Fox advert, you know. Now, you wanted to watch this campaign video from a chap from Blackburn as a final thing.
Do we not want to see the Green Party one first? Then, if we can
did you find it?
Quickly? No, so I haven't looked it up. Sorry.
Hold on. Let me see. What's her name? Sean Berry, right? She is actually coming fourth.
Exactly. So I thought it's worth.
Oh, she's got such a green face.
So smug.
If you knew nothing else about this woman, you'd already know that she was a Green candidate, wouldn't you? You'd already know that this is a greenie. She's just got the face of such a person. Okay, so let's.
We could just do that first one. Just do that one, might as well.
Okay. I don't think I shared audio. Hold on. Sean Berry. Here we go.
London has the chance to do something amazing. We can elect our first ever Green Mayor if you give me, Sean Berry, your first preference vote. I'm not going to give you any negative reasons to vote out of fear. You have the chance to vote for something completely positive in this election.
Sorry, can we stop a
Bring
second?
down rents and bring up.
So again, she was asking for that first vote. Nothing like the guy who was begging for the second slot. She's just straight in there saying that I should be number one, and that shows that shows authority. Although if you just watch her hands as she's sort of fumbling along as she's walking along, can you rewind a little bit and just watch her body language? It was pretty terrible during that walk.
We can elect our first ever Green Mayor if you give me, Sean Berry, your first preference vote. I'm not going to give you any.
Can I just say, on a purely, do you remember the Lib Dem woman? I said she should end on a stressed vowel, right? She has ended. Mayor was stressed, right?
Yeah.
Vote was stressed. Fear was stressed, and that works better with this woman's voice than it did with the Lib Dem ones. So she's beating the Lib Dem woman for rhetoric. But let's have a look at her body language.
I'm not going to give you any negative reasons to vote out of fear. You have the chance to vote for something completely
hands in pockets.
positive.
What we're going to do with them? Oh, they're on the bag.
We can bring down rents and bring up the living wage. We can clean up our air and create good green jobs. We can transform London from the bottom up, but we can.
Was that a shot of the boots?
It's a little bit weird.
Is that like, vote for me and my boots will walk all over you?
It was a very strange shot there.
Only do all of this with a real Green Mayor. This election has a fair voting system. Your first vote is for your first choice, and your second vote is for second best. That's your insurance. So give your first vote for Mayor to the Greens. More and more Londoners know they can trust us to deal with the
I recognise that. I used to work around there at one point.
big problems. We listen, we have problems.
There's let me see that place again. There's a deli around there. There's a deli. I used to work around here somewhere, and there's a really good deli down there, or it used to be down there, like an Italian place. Yeah. Anyway, let's carry on.
They can trust us to deal with the big problems. We listen, we have fresh ideas, and we're ready to put our plans into action. We're on track for a groundbreaking result. So be part of something huge and give the Greens your first vote for Mayor and vote for more Assembly members. Let's elect London's first ever Green Mayor.
Good hands there as well. She's sort of, again, almost going for the Italian hands together pointed. But again, that was so much better than so many other ones we've seen so far. She's got that kind of energy.
Her authority was better. For a woman,
yeah, exactly. Again, I think it would definitely appeal to the kind of beta soy male voter, wanting to be dominated by a strong woman. Basically, I think that's that's the vibe she's going for.
Let's face it, all the people who vote for her are going to be people who are, in fact, much like her, like a middle class kind of feminist.
Yeah, exactly.
Greenie. No. Okay, so. AA was £7 daily lunch budget guy, I reckon. £7? Got to be kidding! More like 15 quid or something. Maybe even more on certain days. But anyway, let's carry on. Let's have a look at this.
So the context of this is a one of those kind of by-elections that's going on in the north. And this is like a viral video that's gone out. This is a Conservative candidate, and yeah, just enjoy.
1.3 million views this has had.
Yeah, this has had more views than every ad we've seen put together so far.
What the fuck?
This is a conservative candidate.
What the fuck is this?
Bring the chains of oppression.
he's showing how shit this park is. I think.
Yeah. Has this guy ever swung a swing before?
God.
Just like, look at the graffiti. Oh, this is just literally perfection.
Oh man.
Still more Chad energy than Lawrence Fox, though. I come on.
Fair. This country is so buggered. Let's face it. So buggered. So, to be honest, that was pretty funny. Though.
That was great. I would definitely vote for that guy.
This kind of Chad strutting around.
He just didn't say anything. He's just like, other people are just wasting their time with policies that are just repeated and meaningless. I'm just going to go to my local park, just show what has happened to it. I'm not even going to say a single word. I'm just gonna swing a broken swing. It's the broken society that I'm going to fix.
I mean, that is the definition of base, though. Is no fucks given, basically.
Exactly, and just getting on a child's slide and doing the victory sign at the top. He's dominating.
In front of a graffiti that says "suck" with a dick written. Oh man! All right, so let's get to the super chats then. Have I been swayed into who am I going to vote for? I might go for a Curtin Bailey ticket. What do you reckon?
I think Curtin's. I think Curtin's our man for sure, and I think he's a really trustworthy and respectable guy. I think he speaks well, and I do like him. I think as a campaign goes, I think he's definitely suffered from lack of direction. And again, I almost feel like people like Lawrence Fox have taken a lot of oxygen away from him. Again, maybe that's part of the reason why Fox has been
he was run right,
so amplified, because Fox has had just so many media lines written about him. I haven't seen Curtin at all, or UKIP in the paper. So
what about a Curtin Rose ticket to punish the Tories?
Yeah, that's quite good. I like. I did like Rose. I mean, he's again a bit of a meme, but again he understands the basics of politics. Still, he needs to show who your friends are. Your friends are, other kind of traditional family members. I'm one of you guys. Our enemies are the enemies of free speech. It's just simple, basic 101 politicking. You got to get that personal brand. You got to get the kind of the mugs. You got to have that visual identity. That's what he did really, really well, better than most other people. So
should have run together, I reckon. But I don't
that's it. Like he genuinely should have mentored Curtin for the branding side of things and used all of his money on adverts for Curtains. And I think for Curtin, or done like a joint ticket together or something, they would have done it really well. But yeah,
Piers Corbyn has no videos or anything really. Can't see anything. Like he hasn't. Has he been banned from Twitter? Maybe he's been banned.
Could be. We didn't look up the UKIP one either, but I couldn't find much when I was checking.
Yeah, no, I can see Count Binface is saying, London, do you want me to crush Loza Fox, Brian Rose, and the Tory guy? I can't remember the name of him. Piers Corbyn at the ballot box. Of course you do. So basically, Count Binface is actively campaigning against. He is a shitload, basically. So
yeah.
So there we go. Okay. A lot of people saying, look, I'm voting Green first, second Count Binface. So you can see what sorts of people. I should mention that the UKIP candidate is called Gammons. Did you know that?
I did hear that. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Let me see if I can find Gammons.
Go on, we should look up UKIP. We should have a video of him. I feel like we've given time to everyone else.
What's his name? Peter Gammons. Peter Gammons. I mean, what? He's literally called Peter Gammons. I can't find him though. There's another Peter Gammons on.
Again, UKIP's another set of people. They just need to hire someone who has like spent like at least 1 year in marketing. Their branding is crap. Their advertising is crap. They're just such like a mess of a party. Again, like Brian Rose has just literally just crapped on all the minor parties, like in all of the work they've done for the last 10 years with his campaign. His stupid bus, and that little speech is just so much more professional than anything I've seen in the kind of on the fringe politics side for like 10 years.
It seems that UKIP don't even do videos. They just do this. They're just going with a much more old school poster campaign. UKIP will abolish devolution, protects free speech, protect our heritage, and end mass immigration. So they're just running on a kind of general.
But again, it's just like this is the same.
and the failed Blairite project.
They should have used the meme photo. They should have used the new photo of Blair, which was brilliant. Again, I'm surprised no one. Again, I mean the graphic works okay, but they need to do more.
Drakeford.
Yes, I mean again, the message is not wrong, but I think all of these guys are just they're all just sort of lost in a sea of like. Three or four other people are doing exactly the same thing as those guys. Anyway, it's tough right now, but I feel like they are definitely failing hard.
I'm convinced. Right, we're not going to do it, obviously, but I'm convinced that us lot could come up with better stuff than some of the stuff we've seen. But
come on, the AA party next London mayor. I will be one of your minions in the background.
No.
I'll start ordering medals now.
Not happening at all. I will never enter politics, as I have said many times. Okay. Entropy Sensum Cominium says, "Hello, AA. I correctly spoiled my ballot paper today so that it gets registered as a protest vote. Not one of the Tuesdays in my catchment area worth the cost of the wood to burn them on." So there we go. Sheep Palpagrin says, "I can only say do run AA. I want to see someone funny in this election." Absolutely not. Years the Eunuch says, "Sadiq Khan is speaking lies tailored to disarm the white British so that we will not resist the theft of our children's legacy. Multiculturalism is code for white erasure. Sadiq Khan is the enemy bad." Years the Eunuch also says, "On unpopular opinions this week, you mused at what my community event could possibly be. My sister-in-law's brother has an old-timey banjo and fiddle folk music group, so I visited a local baby shower where they were playing. Since they draw a crowd, who cares about preserving both folk and tradition? Friendships built, bonds forged, seeds planted. This is the way." So that was all from Years the Eunuch. And any comments, Farah? Any comments?
No.
For any of that? No. And then I will get on to the main super chats, and we have Coney says AA is literally getting whipped into voting. Harrison Wade says imagine voting, lol. Jake Churchill says afternoon AA. I just tuned in while watching Eyes Wide Shut. Any thoughts on a cigar stream or deeper lore on esoteric films? Cheers. Yeah, why not? We could have a look at the Holy Mountain. It's a pretty esoteric film. Hugh James.
I know that D is a super big fan of Kubrick. So
I could do a
talk in depth. So
I would do a Kubrick film because he only did 13 films. So
yeah,
that would be a very cohesive thing. And I'm a big fan of Clockwork Orange, as some people may know.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
I also love, as is my old school friend Morcar. That's where he gets the Alex Boy line
Boy,
from.
yeah.
I love a lot of Kubrick. Basically, he never directed anything bad. Kubrick.
Yeah.
13 bangers. Although, what's that one? Barry Lyndon's a bit long. I imagine D loves Barry Lyndon for some reason because he's,
yeah, he does. Laps up.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. But you know what D is like.
Deeply subversive.
Jake Hugh James says, I just voted for Brian Rose 1 and Lawrence Fox 2. So that's kind of a protest vote, I guess. I'm thinking of going Kurt and Rose to punish the Tories. But I'm conflicted because I genuinely thought Bailey had the best message. So
yeah, it's hard. If I was to be voting, I would probably do Curtin 1, Bailey 2, I'd say. I mean, Rose is a bit of a meme candidate. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's just because he's like a brash American that's it's entertaining. But
I'm thinking when I'm in there, I might go Kurt and Bailey, something like that. Just because if there's like one vote in it, and I was the vote who didn't get Khan out, you know. I mean, it's not going to be that, but I'm now thinking of Stanley Kubrick films. I've been distracted because he's got early ones as well, like Spartacus, Lolita, Doctor Strangelove, The Killing. He's got like that.
the Kirk Douglas, where he's the French guy as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
in the First World War.
Yeah, Paths of Glory.
Paths of Glory is excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. I seem to remember there's one like set in a race course, like an early black and white one set in a race course, or something like that. Yeah, 2001 is awesome. Clockwork Orange is amazing. Shining is amazing. Barry Lyndon is amazing. Full Metal Jacket is amazing. I mean, the bullying in Full Metal Jacket is out of this world. And Eyes Wide Shut is interesting. I haven't seen that since it was in the cinema, so that would be an interesting one to revisit. Yeah, maybe I'll ask D if he wants to come on to do Kubrick. If you're watching D, you know, I might actually rewatch all of them in preparation. 13 films is not that many films to watch. Okay, Galinda 12 says, could you please quickly break down Blair's Things Can Only Get Better ad while Pharaoh is on? Oh, God. Do you want to do that?
Okay, go on quickly.
Probably get us polled because it's D-Ream. Here we go. Party Political Broadcast 1997. Of course, I am going to be doing my Blair series, The Chronicles of the Dark Lord. Did I tell you this?
Yeah, no, I'm very pumped. I'm sad to see the Ashes go, but at the same time, it was the most depressing thing on YouTube. So
I think the Ashes is as kind of black people out of their skull and back. And I'm going to do director's commentaries on all 20 episodes of the Ashes.
Yeah.
So you know we can milk it for another 20 episodes because people get triggered by the fact there's no commentary, so I can finally tell you what I was thinking about and reveal the true depths of my own darkness. But anyway, let's carry on.
Can we stop already? The first shot is a red door, so again, you're already getting that visual symbolism of red equals Labour. You are put in the first person of something arriving at the through the letterbox, and again, this immediately is like trying to appeal to working class and middle class people who
look, it's a
collect that stuff.
The Sun is traditionally a right wing paper, which is looked down upon by the Guardian readers, but Blair already knew he had the Guardian readers, and that really it was Sun voters that he needed to get. So it's like, I'm going to bring you in. And famously, of course, the Sun backed Blair. So that was another way of, it's probably like, listen, you back me, I'll put you in a political ad. So it's going to free advertising for the Sun as well. So
yeah.
Can only get better.
Talk about false advertising. Fucking hell. Damage this man has done to the country is insane.
Well, just going to the actual ad a second. Again, the guy's then gone on to collectors to make his breakfast. But again, there is some kind of symbolism on, you're switching the electricity on, things are happening. I'm pressing the button, stuff's getting stuff, and also in terms of like things can only get better. You can imagine you've kind of woken up, you're tired, you're you're feeling terrible, but now you've got your delicious breakfast on the side, you're feeling better. So again, there's the symbology of the breakfast. Also, get like lodging that in your head around, Labour's going to make things better.
Deeply subversive.
So let's carry on. It kind of reminds me of the opening credits of The Big Breakfast, if you remember that show.
I do, yes, yeah. Look at the dress of the person though. Again, they're wearing kind of chinos and shirts. So again, trying to appeal to that middle class voter. Again, it's those new metropolitan yuppies that Blair won over, the kind of traditional conservative voters. So again, and again, there's something almost Pavlovian in the way that they're kind of recreating what you're going to be doing on election
You know what's
day.
awful though? I would still wear this. I wear chinos like that. I would wear this shirt. I would wear this belt.
And you voted for Blair. This worked. You saw what you were told to do, and you followed it.
So I mean, I have to say I was too young to vote in 1997. I voted for Blair in 2001, and to make it even worse, I was pro Iraq War back then as well. So I was like what a knob I was. But I kind of like. I mean, I was into Machiavelli even back then, and I kind of appreciated the realpolitik of it. So I was like, I actually wanted them to be more honest and be like, it is to our strategic advantage. Like full, I guess neocon would have been the position back then. But anyway, let's carry on.
Pause again. So again, there's kind of two kind of young hip people as well. This is the new Blair audience. They're smiling. The sun in the background. Again, so it's all of this kind of optimism. Look at the guy's face on the right hand side. It looks like he's had that smile surgically attached to himself. But again, he's wearing the smart. Look at the shirt again. Shirt with no tie.
Blair,
it's the Blair
uniform. Yeah. He hasn't even bothered to iron it. Let's carry on. It's Ruba.
Can we zoom back to the smile there? Sorry, I just want to see that face there.
What, his face?
Yeah, Ruba's face. Look at it again. There's a little gang going together. We're all going to vote together.
It's like horrendous.
It's like going off to the First World War together.
This is literally what we would have been wearing in 1997 and 98, though. It's so hideous how you're a product of your time, even when you don't want to be. It's like, back then I was thinking, I'm dressing neutrally, but yet, look, they're all wearing that outfit. And I even like that preppy outfit she was wearing, like for the girls, but anyway.
Again, look, she's got the Labour rose, and again hitting the minorities up as well early at this stage. And again, look at the smile on her face. The sun's shining. It's a great day. What a great day to vote for Labour.
Oh God. I mean,
again, can you see again the red sheets, the guys giving out the red balloon? It's that feeling of happiness that you get when you get a balloon. It's the feeling of happiness when you go for a meal.
There's momentum in this as well. It's like the momentum's, and you can't stop this steam train coming. Yeah. You might as well get swept up in it all. And the media sold this so well. Do you remember when he won? It was like, Britain had won the World Cup or something. I seem to remember.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see the guy shaking his hand? Again, that's what they're trying to put into your hand. If you do the vote, people are literally going to stand up and applaud and shake your hand in the street for voting for Labour. And also, did you see they had a passing shot of Major, and it was sort of twisted. Again, it's quite interesting how, and again with the kind of deep blue background, which
being
is
swept, just being swept aside like it's nothing.
Exactly.
You know?
Sorry, can you pause 1 second? We still haven't seen the face of the first person. So again, he's a very much an everyman figure that you're meant to project your face onto. They keep cutting off below the neck, so that's.
Yeah, I did not get I did not get swept up in this election because I was too young to vote. I remember it though, and it was so big. No, I very much was a head Blair voter in 2001, and I actually remember writing a piece in the student paper being pro Howard in 2005. What was his name? Howard, I forget his name now. The Tory candidate, because he was he campaigned against immigration, and he was actually he'd gone for a tuition fee thing, but I think I ended up voting for Lib Dems in that election because of the seat I was in, because I was in Oxford at that time. So I think there was no hope of Tories winning that. It was a Labour Lib Dem split. And then by 2010, I voted for Nick Clegg. I was admittedly briefly caught up in Clegg mania, which is to my eternal shame. Did you see Clegg was actually the brains behind Facebook banning Trump? Yeah.
It's interesting.
These things work out, isn't it? I empowered that back in 2010.
Sorry, can I pause again? I'm just disgusted at this bunch of smug fucks that ruined our country. Just every single one of them. I hate them. They're just their smiles, just everything about them. It's just so depressing now.
Twat energy. It's true though. They literally did. And interesting that we've not seen Blair once in this advert. Not once.
It's just about the feeling. It's just about the feeling. No policy, literally nothing at all. Again, I mean, this is towards the end. This is literally like the final month. So again, they've done all the groundwork. Again, that's why his strategy is so good. He's already built up the stuff. You know what his policy is. He's not talking policy at this point. He's going in for the kill. He's trying to. It's all. This is pure emotion. There is no logic in this whatsoever. There is no reason. It is literally just the feeling of, you're going to be part of a group. You're doing the right thing. You're going to feel happy. This is just pure, trying to flip the switch in your brain. But he's already done the groundwork. He's already done all of the kind of sensible, logical stuff beforehand. That's already in your head. So this is why his campaigns are so good. Why are you even talking about policy the day before an election? It's already that moment. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, I mean, we should say Blair is the most successful electoral figure in this country since Thatcher, basically. He's got, Thatcher had 3 elections. He had 3 elections. Although I argue, I know people like Britisher and stuff would disagree, but I argue Thatcher would have won in '92 had they not knifed her as well. But she would have beaten Kinnock. But because look, I mean, Major was like nothing, and he could beat Kinnock. So anyway, let's carry on.
And you've shown me how I would love to deal with this disease. I'll look at things now. Can only get better. Can only get better. Now I'm changing.
It's just bringing in all the family as well. It's just like, I mean, I know they're the people behind the desk, but it's just like we've seen everybody of all different ages so far, and it's kind of very inclusive in a way that is non-divisive.
Yeah.
Was that the Dark Lord?
I think it was there. Literally, just can we go back to the eye, the fucking eye of Sauron here, eye of your master looking at you.
I think that's the Dark Lord's eye. Oh, I tell you what, when when I make this series, it's going to be. I want it to be a definitive series on the Dark Lord to truly, so that people really understand the number he did on this country.
The smile is so bad. It's the most unnatural smile. Watch it. Oh, it's terrible. Oh,
now
dear.
look at him today, riddled
Look at
with
him
evil.
today.
That was before he'd. That was like you know, in Star Wars, like Palpatine pre and post scarring. You know.
Yeah.
Now he's like post scarring Palpatine. But this was the original Sheev. Oh.
Do it. Do it. Do it. There's something so deeply like Pavlovian about this.
Look, instructions. Look at that advice.
You need to add in like a do it signed AA in your next like trivium advert.
I should remake this with people going out and buying people going out in the spring sale 25 buying their trivia.
Just getting your like gang of autists together and they all like crowd around a computer and buy the trivium at the end. Yeah,
all buying the trivia and foundations of economics together. So there it is, the ad that destroyed the country. I mean, to be honest, like you said, the groundwork had already been done.
Yeah.
And the Tories were completely wrecked with sex scandals as well.
Yeah.
Not only had they been in power for a long time, but they were really sleaze. Do you remember that? Much more innocent time. Let's carry on. Endorphin Junkie says, AA, look up the Limbaugh theory. Lush Limbaugh stewed over the same dilemma with Obama that you are with Khan. Yeah, so Rush Limbaugh didn't want to vote, I guess, but probably ended up voting with Mitt Romney through gritted teeth or something, was it? And McCain, the Limbaugh theory, here we go. Limbaugh theory, the Limbaugh theorem. What is this? What is the Limbaugh theory? Obama has mastered the ability to always be seen as opposing everything that's happening, even the things he is causing to happen. He's on a perpetual campaign. Yes, very good. Yeah, that is Khan is using the Obama. That is the Limbaugh theory. Khan's very good at that. He's causing the problems to happen.
Yeah,
but yet he's opposing it somehow.
Yeah, like with the policing thing, you know, under his watch, crime has massively risen. But then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to solve it all with additional police officers. You literally can do that. You literally can do that.
According to Rush, Obama gets away with everything precisely by appearing to have no involvement with it. He gets away with not being tied to the IRS scandal, like he's not tied to the jobs numbers. He's not tied to the debt. He's not tied to the economy. He's not tied to anything going wrong. Yeah, I mean, Khan is quite slippery eel when it comes to that, and he seems to get away with it as well somehow. Benjamin Sugarworth says, I second Galanda 12's request, do the Blair ad. Well, we've done it. The English loyalist, I almost said the Egyptian loyalist. The English loyalist. Is London still important to hold? The parliamentarians thought so. Closer to the seat of power you are, the more say you have. Minorities control the capital now, not the British. Dogecoin to the moon. Yeah, I mean, I do think that London Mayor is an important position. Boris used it to springboard into being Prime Minister, of course. But also, what happens in London tends to set the tone for what they want to happen to the rest of the country. So, Hollow 1916 says Sadiq will win, in my opinion. All the people need to believe is that the Mayor of London is helpless to change anything because the UK is systematically racist. UTIS 4321 says, to understand the inner city black vote in America, you have to understand it is driven by fear of the racist and resentment of the majority population. Simon Mitchell says, make London safe is a trap. It is safetyism. problem, reaction, solution, just like be a bug until everyone is safe, no one is safe, and so on. Glow in the Dark says, you are curious why people in places like Detroit vote Dem no matter how bad it gets. Reasons being apathetic, Gibbs, fear of standing out, and just because criminals vote. Why else do you think Dems want criminals voting? Very good points, Glow in the Dark. Firestorm 189 says, question 1, what does society look like post riding the tiger to you? What's an actual positive vision? Well, I mean, it's a vision of a culture that is more natural than the one we have now, where eugenic rather than dysgenic things are propagated, where people can raise a family, where solid, strong, traditional morals rather than degenerate ones are promoted, and people are healthy in mind, body, and spirit. That was what I would say that a post-tiger riding society would look like. I don't know if you disagree with that, Farah. Just more healthy.
I would love to talk about that in more detail, but I think you need an entire stream. But I think you're right. It's a total change of society itself. I think if you see the way that Spengler thinks about the kind of the late stage civilization and what would require needing to be changed to go back from that, it's something pretty substantial culturally. So that's the kind of level I think it would be, like, all down to the way we think about history and teaching and learning and culture itself. So a total revision of those points.
Yeah. Question 2, can you do a friend enemy reading list on viewpoints on the core issues you all discuss? Dioch. Friend enemy reading list on viewpoints. I don't really know what you mean by that. I mean, I did do a reading list of 100 books a while back on Cigar Stream 75. They were all friends, though. Enemy reading list would look like Louis Althusser, Ideology in the Ideological State Apparatus, Antonio Gramsci's Prison Notebooks, Frankfurt School. Anyone else on the left worth reading? New left stuff from the 70s. Foucault. I mean, these are all worth reading, I would say, from the left. They're enemies, but they're worth reading. Robert McKell's is really not really of the right as well. He's somebody else worth reading in the elite theory. Yep. Aaron Telford says, I'd like the candidate Brian Rose to become mayor of London. He has a decent YouTube channel called London Real. Urban Fox says, Piers Corbyn in Uxbridge campaigning 27th of March while chanting with crowd, 8 people, down with BBC. Bloke punched him and the police let him walk away. Grant Holt says, Sadiq knife crime and this census is peak tiger ride. Carl Seltzer says, I saw Sargon interview David Curtin back in his UKIP days, and I found him to be charming and pretty based. Shame that the London machine seems lost at the moment. Reactionary Roman says, I found it interesting that Curtin mentioned central banks and inflation in his main heritage manifesto. He seems to understand basic econ. Yeah, I honestly think Curtin is the most our guy of this field. Plebeian says, hi from the West Mids. You chaps should take a look at the West Mids mayoral election. Tories took 50% of the conurbation MPs. We have the biggest influx of people relocating out of London. That is very interesting. Reactionary Roman says, I met the regional organizer and other members of the Heritage Party in my area. They were nice Christian people who watch channels like Sky News Australia. I am unsure if the party has a future, though. And Emperor Shaddam IV says, vote Kutan. Heritage Manifesto is based. Yeah, I think I've been sold, actually, that he's going to be my number one vote. If I do, in fact, go out and vote later. I feel like kind of been shamed into voting against Khan, I guess. Harrison Wade says, pre-ordered your politics course December 2020. Can't come soon enough. yeah, that's going to be a summer release. That course, it's going to take a while to write. It's going to be a bit different, that course. I feel like I'm going to have to write scripts for that as opposed to freewheel like the Trivium was, just because of the type of material it is. And so it'll be a bit more like Foundations of Economics, that course. Grant Holt says, AA, would you rather convert to Islam or be bummed by D? Well, I'd convert to Islam and then I'd break the covenant after a few days. So it's easy, isn't it? All right. Pharaoh, anything you'd like to shill, sir, before we get out of here?
Yes, I'm doing another art stream this Saturday with Alexander Adams and Panama Hat. We've been looking through what I've called the art of darkness. So the art during the mid-century fascist period, basically. So the first episode was all about Mussolini's Italy. How did he project himself? What kind of artistic institutions was he creating? And what did he personally like? And there's some really interesting stuff. And we're going to be going onto the German side this Saturday. So looking at their kind of lists of loved and hated art. So it should be pretty interesting. Tune in on Saturday.
You know, I'll just mention again, there's a few hours left, not only to vote, but also to... I didn't purposely put the end day of the sale on. It just happened to be this day. It's kind of a nice... but the Spring 25 sale, you've got a few hours left before that runs out. So anyone wishing to take advantage of the 25% off sale, it's Spring 25. Links in the show notes. Now get out.